I have a mobile phone in my Dantian. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 751 Heavenly Palace Guardian Zhao Shen. How is it possible? Xianyu Patriarch and Zhao Jun tried to resist in a panic. They were holy spirits. How could they not even escape? Boom. The soul-devouring demon sealing domain swallowed them up, and they had no power to resist at all. The power gap was too big, and the two holy spirits were dragged to the ground. They smashed directly into the ground, and two big holes appeared on the ground. Two heads stuck out. Their eyes were full of horror. This, Zhao Jun. This can't be the method of a newly promoted holy spirit. This is the strength of the 10 guardians of my Xiangang. The two of them communicated in horror. They were holy spirits, and they had been holy spirits for a long time. In addition to studying Taoism, they could break their Taoism with a knife light and imprison them in the blink of an eye. What kind of strength is this? New holy spirits? Bullshit. I have sent a message to my eldest brother, Guardian Zhao. Xianyu Patriarch paused. With a big backer behind him, he felt much more at ease. Let's see which strong man will take action first. Zhao Jun communicated in a voice. How could he be an unknown person to defeat them so easily? Xianyu old demon had been in the void for a long time and nodded repeatedly. Saving his life was more important. Mercy, mercy, I don't know which senior has come. Xianyu is ignorant and offended. Please forgive me. Xianyu old ancestor shouted loudly with his head exposed above the ground. Forgive me. You will die today. Wait. A cold male voice came from the Taoist temple. Xianyu old demon and Zhao Jun were shocked when they heard it. This was not the voice of the snow fairy, but obviously the powerful reinforcement invited. It's a trap. It's a trap. I said, how dare the snow fairy break through here so blatantly. It turns out that there are powerful reinforcement. Xianyu old ancestor complained bitterly. He asked me to wait. What for? Zhao Jun was helpless, but he thought it would be best if the other party didn't kill immediately. This master, is there any misunderstanding between you and me, the snow fairy? Xianyu old ancestor began to speak well. Unfortunately, Su Dong was too lazy to pay attention to him. You have been chasing Feng Lao for so long. Let Feng Lao vent his anger on you. Su Dong did not kill him, but waited for Feng Lao Rongzi to break through, and then killed him himself. You who were beside him blinked. She still hadn't reacted yet. The old demon Xianyu and Zhao Jun, who had just attacked so horribly, were planted in the ground like carrots. This method was too shocking. Master said that, once the strong reinforcement arrive, it will be as easy as cutting melons and vegetables, to deal with the old ancestor Xianyu. Master is not lying to me. Yuhua said silently. It was really cutting melons and vegetables. She only saw that the senior next to her did not attack much, but his methods were so terrifying. If they really wanted to fight, how powerful would it be? What? Old ancestor? Zhao Jun? The disciples of Xianyu sect were all stunned and looked at the old ancestor Xianyu and Zhao Jun, who were planted on the ground and couldn't move. In their eyes, the powerful holy spirit Zizu was crushed without any resistance. It's over. It's over. The ancestor can't even protect himself, so we are doomed. Ah, the ancestor is harming me. The disciples in the distance didn't dare to move. That powerful person could kill them with just a thought. Liu Santong and the others who were kneeling there were sweating profusely. Yuli, this Fengsu fairy has such a strong backing. Why didn't you tell her earlier? Liu Santong growled secretly. If I had known earlier that Feng Larangzi had such a strong backing behind him, who would dare to provoke him? Strong backing. Yuli's eyes turned red. She remembered that the master had said that she had a strong backing who could solve all crises. Let her feel at ease. But she didn't believe it. So there really is one. The master didn't lie to her, she just didn't believe it. Now that the master has broken through to the Holy Spirit and has such a strong backing, if she is still the master's disciple, then she is a Holy Spirit disciple. She can walk sideways in the void. In a large world called Zhaoji in the void. This world has high mountains and steep cliffs, and the scenery is quite beautiful. It also has a unique fairy spirit. There is a fairy palace between the mountains. In the fairy palace lives the master of this world, Zhao Shen. Brother. Zhao Shen, who was comprehending a lore in the cave, suddenly received a message. Zhao Jun, what's the matter? Zhao Shen was dressed in white and handsome. There were two holy spirits in the Zhao family, one was him, and the other was Zhao Jun. Zhao Jun was his brother from the same mother. They practiced together, and he was always taking care of them. Come and save me, I'm captured. Zhao Jun sent a message anxiously. Zhao Shen immediately put down the secret book of Taoism in his hand. Where are you? Why were you captured? Zhao Jun repeatedly told his location and the whole story. He naturally did not hide anything from his closest brother. Ancestor Xianyu? Zhao Shen frowned. I told you not to make close friends with him. Brother, I owe him a favor. I have to help. Zhao Jun said helplessly. Zhao Shen shook his head. A cultivator also values cause and effect. Don't worry, I'll go and save you right away. You can tell the mysterious strong man about our relationship, and don't delay. This book has been updated recently in .. Update. Zhao Shen immediately cut off the communication. He looked down on Xianyu Patriarch, but he only had Zhao Jun as his brother, so he had to save him. Who is it? With such strength, he captured Zhao Jun in a blink of an eye. With such strength, it is impossible for him not to have a name in the void. The powerful Holy Spirit Zuzu was the top strong man in the void in the entire Middle Ages. There are only a few famous ones, such as the Lord of Jiuhua Mountain, the Five Dragons God, and the Three-Eyed Immortal. Which one is this? Without time to think carefully, Zhao Shen controlled a magical weapon, and turned into a golden light, and disappeared in this world. Xiangun Xiandi. Zhao Jun showed his head, looked at the Taoist temple in front, and said, this senior Taoist brother, do you know who my brother is? He didn't know how long the strong people in the Taoist temple had been practicing, so he directly called him senior Taoist brother. On the road of cultivation, the one who is more accomplished comes first. Su Dong sat casually in the Taoist temple, silently helping Feng Lao break through the Dharma protector, while paying attention to the outside. Yu Hua beside him also took out a fine wine, and poured it for Su Dong, which made Su Dong sigh that Feng Lao Rong even enjoyed himself so much, when he ran away. Hearing the movement outside, who is your brother? Su Dong asked. Zhao Shen. Zhao Junlian said, Zhao Shen, the seventh of the 10 great Dharma protectors of the Heavenly Palace, who controls the common people with a 7-star divine sword. Oh, it's him. Su Dong was not interested. Zhao Jun was stunned. Senior Taoist brother, do you know my brother? We met once, but even if your brother came today, he still couldn't save you. Su Dong said. Dare to attack Feng Lao. What else to say? This? Xianyu Patriarch looked at Zhao Jun anxiously, as if this person didn't care about Dharma Protector Zhao. Zhao Jun also looked ugly. Lion sent a message to his eldest brother. What? You are so arrogant. I want to see who is so arrogant. Meet once. Zhao Shen passed through the void. In his heart, he snorted and wondered who this person was who didn't give him face. In the Taoist temple, Yu He looked at Su Dong curiously. Senior, do you know that Zhao Shen? It doesn't matter whether I know him or not, he knows me anyway. These scattered cultivators are united, and it may be troublesome to deal with Zhao Jun. Su Dong smiled. At the Holy Spirit conference held by the Queen Mother, Zhao Shen, as one of the 10 Dharma protectors of the Heavenly Palace, was naturally present. His strength was equal to that of the bull-headed Shuriken. With such a one-time encounter, Zhao Shen was not qualified to talk to him. Because scattered cultivators were organized into forces, the Heavenly Palace was very united, and a single move would affect the whole body. This Zhao Jun was still the brother of Zhao Shen. But it was just a trouble. Chapter 752 Calling Friends. In the void, a yellow wind flew by, and in the yellow wind was a fat figure. The fat figure was majestic, and there were 2 figures following him, both of whom were respectful. Suddenly, the fat figure saw a golden light flashing from a distance. The fat figure's eyes lit up, and he spoke quickly. Seventh brother? The 10 top holy spirits of the Heavenly Palace were of the same mind and sworn brothers. Seventh brother, where are you going in such a hurry? The golden light stopped, revealing the figure of Zhao Shen. Fourth brother, Zhao Jun was captured by a strong man, and I was about to rescue him. Zhao Shen Lion said. That strong man has a big tone, and it seems that he is not easy to provoke. The fat figure was Long He, the fourth of the 10 great guardians of the heavenly palace. Oh, is there such a thing? Let's go, I'll go with you to see. Long He's mouth cracked. He was the most belligerent, and he flew over immediately when he heard about fighting. I want to see who dares to touch our brothers in the heavenly palace. If the fourth brother takes action, the strong man will probably retreat when he hears the name of the fourth brother. Zhao Qian readily agreed. Long He is a dragon. Unlike the 5 dragon gods, he was born with noble blood. He rose from obscurity and fought all the way to cultivate to become a saint. This also made him famous for his killing. Among the 10 guardians in the heavenly palace, Long He ranks first in terms of bad temper and love of killing. Let's go, lead the way. Long He landed on Zhao Qian's flying magic weapon, took the 2 followers beside him, and flew straight into the air, and flew forward in an instant. With the fourth brother Long He as a companion, Zhao Qian felt relieved. With the 2 of them working together, they could walk sideways in the entire void. There was no need to be afraid. He was in the late Daochu realm, and Long He was in the Daozuan realm. And Long He's divine body was even more terrifying. The 2 joined hands. Naturally, they were fierce. It took about half an hour to fly all the way. Both of them were considered normal holy spirits in terms of speed. They could fly faster with magic weapons, but no matter how fast they were, they could not be as fast as Sudong's spring and autumn boat. The spring and autumn boat arrived in the blink of an eye. That is the world where Zhao Jun was captured. In the void, Zhao Qian looked at the world in front of him. He also sent a message to Zhao Jun and learned that Zhao Jun was not in danger of life, and he felt much more relaxed. Just go in. Long He was very irritable. Boom. The earth and the sky trembled. Many Xianyu sect disciples gathered in the heavenly world. All of them felt it in their hearts and looked up. At a glance, they saw 2 figures emitting majestic pressure, one surrounded by dazzling golden light, and the other was muddy and confused, with a majestic black light covering the sky and the sun, and a burly and fat figure, like a small mountain. Big brother. Zhao Jun, who only showed his head on the ground, looked up. Long He's guardian is here too. Xianyu Patriarch's eyes were slightly brighter. He was very nervous now. After all, Sudong said that he must die. It was not easy to cultivate into a holy spirit who would want to die. Disciples like Liu Santong also watched with trepidation. There was excitement and expectation in their eyes. They were in the same boat with the ancestor and Zhao Jun. If Zhao Jun could be saved, they could naturally be saved as well. Senior brother Liu, that mysterious strong man easily suppressed the ancestor and Zhao Jun. Is the Zhao Qian protector a match? A disciple carefully transmitted the message. Ridiculous. How can the ancestor and others compare with the Zhao Qian protector? Liu Santong sneered, but felt that what he said was inappropriate, so he quickly restrained himself. Fortunately, it was a voice transmission, and his ancestor could not hear it. The reputation of Zhao Qian protector who suppresses the common people with a golden sword is not false. Ordinary holy spirits can be killed with just one sword. Xianyu sect also belongs to the Xiangang forces. The many strong men in the Xiangang naturally know the flattery, not to mention the Long Protector. Zhao Qian is strong, ranking 7th, but the Long Protector is ranked 4th and stronger. It's saved. Many disciples thought. You're so slow. Sudong looked up, his eyes penetrated through space, and saw 2 figures in the sky. Zhao Qian had a handsome face, and golden light lingered around him, which was very flamboyant. The fat figure was full of demonic energy. He was the demon who became the Holy Spirit Void Ancestor, and a phantom of a dragon could be seen faintly in his days. Long He. At the Holy Spirit Conference, I remember that Long He had competed with him in drinking, and finally lost. The divine body is good, but the divine soul is too bad, too generous, too murderous. Although Sudong didn't hate it, he didn't like it either. Senior, are those 2 here to cause trouble for us? Yu Hua asked in shock. She was trembling in her heart from a distance. Yes. Sudong smiled and nodded. 4th brother, wait a moment, let me ask a few questions. Zhao Qian stepped forward. Okay. Long He looked down coldly. This book was recently updated in #at. Update. Seeing Zhao Jun and Xianyu Laozu planted in the ground like carrots, He suddenly felt funny. He was also slapping his Shan Gong's face. I don't know which master is below. I'm Zhao Shen here. Please show up to see me. The shocking voice rumbled through the world. Countless gods, practitioners, and mortals heard it. Zhao Shen. What a powerful man he is. Zhao Shen stared at the bottom with golden eyes and fell with his rolling voice. I saw a figure walking out of the Taoist temple. The figure was slender and his face was cold. He looked up at Zhao Shen and Long He in the sky and opened his lips slightly. Zhao Shen, protector, my master has no intention of fighting with you and advises you to leave. So arrogant. Zhao Shen snorted coldly. He didn't come out to see him, but only ordered a small god to come out and talk to him. Yu He also felt a little dazed. Talking directly to the Holy Spirit? It was really that the senior was too arrogant and said that these two guys were not qualified to see him. Indeed, he is not qualified. When acting outside, Su Dong represents the face of Huan Quan Daofu. In terms of status, only those at the level of three-eyed true lord are qualified to see him. Ignoring Yu He below, Zhao Shen clenched his palms and condensed a giant hand with golden light flashing out of thin air, grabbing Zhao Jun. Save Zhao Jun first. He came here to save people. If he saved people, everything would be fine, and there was no need to be cautious. Then he would think about how to retaliate. Go. Su Dong in the Taoist temple snorted coldly. Suddenly, the powerful divine power surged out, lighting up the 8th star. Even if he had not broken through the Daoxuan realm, his divine power had long been strong enough to rival that of the 5 dragon gods. Rumble. The majestic river of divine power crossed and floated, directly blocking the giant divine hand condensed by Zhao Shen. What a strong divine power. Zhao Shen's face changed slightly. How dare you take my punch? Long He, who was watching the battle in the sky, roared angrily and suddenly threw a punch. A sky-shaking punch. Along with this punch, the entire sky suddenly darkened. The world was completely shrouded and oppressed by endless black light. In front of this punch, everything seemed to become small and submerged. In the black light, a ferocious dragon claw could be vaguely seen. This dragon claw was extremely terrifying, with a strong and fierce pressure, crushing down savagely. The body of a dragon is indeed born with strength. Su Dong sighed as he stood in the Taoist temple, and then threw a punch through the air. As soon as the punch was thrown, blood and energy rose like the starry sky, and the divine clouds filled the sky, and it hit hard. Boom. The brilliant punch collided with the falling black dragon claw, and the black dragon claw was directly smashed by the brilliant fist light. Long He in the cloud hurriedly threw 2 more punches, a total of 3 punches, and then blocked this fist light. But his face suddenly became much more solemn, and a pair of dragon eyes flashed. What a powerful divine body. Chapter 753 Karad Meeting. The stronger the divine body, the stronger the power and might. Long He's fat head gradually became ferocious and turned into a pitch black dragon head. Looking coldly at the bottom, he was a demon, and he was also a demon when he became a holy spirit. He could only exert 70% to 80% of his combat power in human form, and he could only exert his full strength when he turned into his original form. Just like when the 5 dragon gods and Su Dong fought, they also turned into real dragon bodies. Most of the strength of these demons is also in their demon bodies. Transformation is serious. 4th brother, my swordsmanship is good at killing, let me try. Zhao Shen shouted. He took the initiative to attack. Whoosh. A golden sword appeared in front of him, and the golden sword flashed with sharp golden light. As soon as it appeared, it stabbed downwards fiercely, and it was as fast as lightning, and reached the top of the Taoist temple in an instant. A golden sword suppresses the common people, which is the uniqueness of Zhao Shen's swordsmanship. Break. Su Dong pointed to the void. Star threads suddenly appeared between heaven and earth. Since you want to intervene so much, then come down. Su Dong was too lazy to hold back. The chaotic green hair divine ability domain instantly appeared. Puff, the light of the golden sword became distorted and dissipated as soon as it touched, and then the starry silk threads covered the sky. Suddenly, a sense of chaos swept over Zhao Shen and Long He. It was extremely chaotic and uncomfortable. It felt like the space was upside down and disordered, and the divine body was constantly being worn away. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The chaotic starry silk threads carried terrifying power. Each silk thread had a strange trajectory, like an invisible knife cutting the divine body. Zhao Shen's divine body was weaker. Zhao Shen was covered with golden light, and the golden light was directly worn away. Long He's divine body was stronger, but he couldn't resist it either. Boom. It turned directly into a huge dragon. It bared its fangs and claws and wanted to fly out of the chaotic green hair divine ability domain, but the space was completely upside down and chaotic, and it was trapped in it, unable to distinguish up, down, left, and right. The outside world could only see some beautiful dots of starlight, and Zhao Shen and Long He were terrified, and then they flew around like two headless flies. Come down. Su Dong's mind moved. The star silk thread wrapped Long He and Zhao Shen, and dragged them directly to the ground. Bang bang. Two muffled sounds. When the starlight dissipated, two large holes appeared on the ground. In one of the large holes was Zhao Shen, and in the other was Long He. Long He's monster body was huge, and the holes were even bigger. How is it so strong? Zhao Shen was shocked. Too terrible. My dragon body is comparable to a divine weapon, and it was worn away by half biodomain. If you want to kill me, you can grind me to death. Long He was also stunned. We were careless, too careless. This void is vast, and there are many strong people. We were careless. The two shook their heads. Fourth brother, what should we do now? Zhao Shen sent a voice message. What can we do? We can't move. I have sent a message to my three brothers and notified the palace master. Long He shook his head silently. The defeat was too miserable. Lost. Zhao Jun and Xianyu patriarch silently looked at Zhao Shen and Long He, who were also like carrots planted aside. They didn't dare to breathe. Big brother. Zhao Jun looked at his brother nervously. His eyes were full of panic and guilt. Zhao Shen glanced at him. In the end, he sent a message. Don't worry, this masters means are definitely the top powerhouse in the void. If it's just to bind, then you still have to consider the background of the heavenly palace. Wait for the palace master to come. The palace master of the heavenly palace, the three-eyed true lord. He is recognized as the strongest in the void. Don't look at the monk's face, look at the Buddha's face. They are the guardians of the heavenly palace after all. How can they be killed casually? Don't struggle. Just wait for the palace master to come. Long He also sent a message. He grew up from fighting at the bottom, killing a lot, and being cunning. When the palace master comes, everything will be fine. As for resistance, this kind of strong man can easily bind them and wipe them out at will. It has been frightened by the chaotic field just now. Brother Xianyu. Zhao Jun sent a message nervously. Zhao Shen glanced at him. Zhao Jun stopped talking inside. He couldn't even protect himself. Why would he care about others? Ancestor Xianyu had already looked as hen. Even Zhao Shen and Long He, the top holy spirits in the void, were suppressed with a flip of his hand. What kind of person did he offend? As for Yuli, an inconspicuous disciple in a small corner, he was oppressed and didn't even raise his head. He was just terrified and regretful. Compared with senior sister Yuhua, who was talking directly to the Holy Spirit in front, her situation was even more different. In the void, there is a big world, similar to the Shura world. This big world is also extremely vast and contains divine brilliance. There is a group of heavenly palaces that stretch for thousands of miles. In the vast heavenly palace, the palaces in the heavenly palaces are magnificent, and the palace is made of crystal and jade emit brilliant golden light under the sunlight. There are countless scattered cultivators in the heavenly palace. In the largest palace. Which master is it that is so disrespectful to my heavenly palace? It is impossible that he is unknown to me if he can easily restrain the fourth and seventh brothers. Palace master, let the three of us go and test their strength first, and then you can make a move. There were three figures in the palace, standing behind a cold man with angry faces. In front of them was a floating shadow like a water curtain, in which the scenes of the heaven and earth were revealed. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. You guys make a move. Humph. If they are captured again, 5 out of 10 heavenly palace guardians will be captured and fall there. How can my heavenly palace maintain its reputation? The three-eyed true lord said coldly. The three guardians behind him were silent immediately. If that were the case, it would be really embarrassing. Let's go. Follow me to see which master it is. Today's incident has become a big deal. If we don't save some face, what prestige will my heavenly palace have in the future? The three-eyed true lord took a step, and the three guardians behind him followed immediately. The heavenly palace is composed of scattered cultivators, and the most important thing is unity. If they don't stand up when encountering problems, the heavenly palace will have no cohesion. In the towering heaven and earth of the void god court, someone captured the heavenly palace guardian. Haha, interesting. It seems that the three eyes have not taken action for too long, and others have forgotten the methods of the three eyes true lord. The five dragon god lord was lying on the cloud bed, with a dragon tail swinging casually. The dragon eyes flickered, and the beautiful fairies of various races in the palace looked at him with flattering smiles. Below was a void palace master, who activated a bronze mirror magic weapon, and the bronze mirror was reflecting the scene in the heaven and earth. The four holy spirits were planted in the ground like radishes, which was indeed very funny. In the void god court is the most well informed. After all, the void palace masters are everywhere in the void. Spread it, let this heavenly palace lose face. The dragon eyes of the five dragon god lord were full of teasing. In the void, it was the three eyes true lord that it feared the most. It had fought several times, and was defeated miserably every time. It was not easy to make the heavenly palace lose face, so naturally he had to seize the opportunity. But it was strange, who was so bold as to dare to provoke the three-eyed true lord. Look who it is. It watched intently. The information spread directly from the void god court. The queen mother of love, the saint lord of Jiuhua mountain, the eternal Buddha realm, and many other powerful holy spirits were paying attention. They also saw the heavenly palace guardian who was planted in a pit like a carrot. Heaven and earth. There was silence outside the Taoist temple. The four holy spirits planted there like carrots were enough to shock everything. Who dared to be presumptuous? The surging divine power in the Taoist temple gathered, and the Dao essence was revealed, constantly gathering towards Feng Lao Rongxi in the center. Finally, the Dao essence was added to his body, and everything returned to peace. Feng Lao Rongxi opened his eyes. At a glance, he saw Sudong and Juhua, who were silently waiting in the outer hall. Feng Lao, congratulations on becoming a saint. Sudong smiled. Congratulations to Master for achieving the Holy Spirit Void Ancestor. Juhua also hurriedly congratulated. Sudong, thank you. Feng Lao Rongxi hurriedly saluted. Her eyes were full of gratitude, and even a little bit of guilt. Sudong's current status and strength, she saw that he was also under pressure, and it was a favor to disturb him casually, and let him take action. It's a small matter. Sudong waved his hand. The heavenly palace. Feng Lao Rongxi hesitated. Although she had just broken through, she was still aware of the outside world. Behind the heavenly palace was the three-eyed true lord, a true top powerhouse. As she was talking, suddenly, a terrifying aura descended. Friends below. A voice came from the void, penetrating the barrier between heaven and earth, and directly resounded through heaven and earth. The three-eyed is here, you should show up. Chapter 754. The three-eyed master takes action. Three eyes. Feng Lao Rongxi's face turned pale. What you fear, will come to you. Three-eyed true lord is recognized as the strongest person in the void. Although Sudong is very powerful, can he deal with three-eyed true lord? I heard that Sudong fought with five dragons god lord some years ago, and it was only a draw. How can he be the opponent of three-eyed true lord? Feng Lao Rongxi was anxious. Sudong, I'm fine. These big shots. I'll go out and bow my head. They think that the heavenly palace has a big family and a big business, so I don't think they will do anything too ugly, she said. Master. Yuhua's face changed slightly. The master in her heart did not bow his head even in life and death, but now he has to bow his head. Feng Lao Rongxi sighed. Yuhua's vision is a little shallow after all. She understands that the forces at the top of the void seem to be harmonious on the surface, but they are fighting openly and secretly behind the scenes. It's very turbulent. Whoever suppresses the other will be arrogant. Sudong represents the Yellow Spring Dao Mansion. As the commander-in-chief of Shuroking, how can he act casually? Once you make a move, you must win. If you lose, the entire Huangquan Daofu will not be able to raise your head. But the opponent is the three-eyed true lord. He is recognized as the strongest in the void. How can you win? Knowing that you will lose, it is better not to fight. Compared with Sudong's dignity, she lost some face. Even if she lost some face and paid some tribute, it was nothing. Sudong raised his head easily. Boom, boom, boom. The world shook violently. 4 figures penetrated the barrier of heaven and earth and revealed their figures. 3 auras were extremely terrifying, and they were still above Lang. The aura alone made the legs and feet of all the beings in the world weak. In front of these 3 terrifying figures, a cold man had a steady breath and floated silently. He carried a long sword on his back, and there was a Taoist pattern composed of gold and silver on his forehead, like a third eye. 3 brothers. Palace Master. Lang shouted. In the Heavenly Palace, friendship is the most important. When one person is in trouble, a group of people often come. It is because of this that the forces of scattered cultivators can grow stronger under the oppression of Huan Kundeofu, the Void Divine Court, and the Eternal Buddha Realm. Lang. Old 7. We are here. Quickly release my Heavenly Palace Guardians. The 3 terrifying figures shouted angrily. Just then. Ha ha ha, what are you shouting about? These 2 Heavenly Palace Guardians really have unique interests. Are they turning into carrots to hold a meeting here? Such leisurely and elegant manners. I, old cow, admire you. Accompanied by many teasing laughs. Several towering figures shattered the void and came majestically. Each towering divine body was 1,000 feet tall. The most conspicuous one among them was the size of a mountain. There were 7 in total. 7 Shura Kings descended at the same time. The 3 Heavenly Palace Guardians who were originally shouting aggressively, as well as Zhao Shen and Lang who thought the situation was settled below, were all shocked and looked at the 7 Shura Kings. Fujian, Miatao, Beifang. What are you doing here? Why are you joining in the fun? They spoke. As for the other disciples of Xianyu sect, Xianyu Patriarch and Zhao Jun, they had already bowed their heads obediently and dared not say a word. Shura King? Exclamation mark. Huan Kundeofu, commanding the reincarnation of life and death in the void, a book of life and death, cut off countless lives and deaths. If they are not holy spirits, everyone is afraid of the Deofu monarch, Shura King. Their status is different. And the communication between the Heavenly Palace and Huan Kundeofu, they are nothing. Strictly speaking, compared with this level, they are nothing. Quiet, quiet. Things have gotten out of hand. Many lives held their breath. Shura King is here. Yuhua also held her breath. Looking at the monsters and ghosts outside, the terrifying towering figures, where did these Shura King big shots come from? Sudong. Feng Lao Rangxi looked at Sudong. She knew it was a big deal. Don't worry, this 3-eyed true lord is nothing. Sudong smiled, then turned and stepped out. 3-eyed true lord is nothing. Feng Lao Rangxi's heart was shaken. This was confident enough. If someone else said it, she might still doubt it, but she knew Sudong's character very well. Since the latter dared to say so, he was sure. Back then, on the Yellow Springs Road, the kings fought. Didn't they rush through? Sudong walked out of the Taoist temple and looked at the 3-eyed true lord in the sky. He's out. Is that the master? Many eyes moved downwards. Zhao Shen, Long He, Zhao Jun, Xianyu Laozu and others all looked over in a hurry. Is he the helper that master invited? Yu Li raised his pale face and saw the figure. He was dressed in a white robe, but just standing there made people palpitate. Greetings, Commander-in-Chief. Fujian and the other 7 Shura Kings immediately bowed and saluted. Commander-in-Chief Sudong. It's him. Everyone was in an uproar. The powerful people that the void was paying attention to were all in an uproar. The 3 guardians next to the 3-eyed true lord quickly restrained themselves and stopped talking. The status of the Yellow Springs Taoist mansion was there, and Sudong's strength was also very strong. They were all present when the latter fought with the 5 dragon gods at the Holy Spirit Conference. With that kind of power, only their palace master could suppress the other party. This book has been recently updated on #@. Update. Sudong Shura King. Zhao Shen, is it Sudong Shura King we are dealing with? Long He's mouth was dry, and he sent a message to Zhao Shen. Zhao Shen looked confused. Let's see what the palace master says. As for the others, those who were not holy spirits, seeing those terrifying Shura Kings respectfully saluting that young man, they also knew how high the other party's status was. Grand Commander Sudan. Three-eyed True Lord spoke. Three-eyed True Lord. Sudan responded with a smile on his face. I received the message and was wondering who dared to capture my heavenly palace guardian. It turned out to be Grand Commander Sudan. Those who offended Grand Commander Sudan should be punished. Well done for capturing him. Three-eyed True Lord had a cold face and spoke coldly. No emotional fluctuations could be heard. Since the True Lord is here, they will naturally be fine. Sudan waved his hand. Zhao Shen and Long He, who were trapped in the pit, suddenly felt lighter, and both figures flew into the air. He immediately bowed to the three-eyed master, and looked at Sudan in awe. To move his hands on Sudan, the thought of it makes me scared. Fortunately, the three-eyed master came. All parties looked at each other, and it seemed that Sudan was still afraid of the three-eyed master. He let them go with just one word. Zhao Shen returned to the cloud. His expression slightly calmed down, and looked at Zhao Jun below. Then Sudan is afraid of the palace master. This is easy to deal with. Zhao Shen thought to himself, and then quickly said, Palace master, please save Zhao Jun. He said it directly, and everyone in the world heard it. The three-eyed master glanced at Zhao Shen and nodded slightly. He also knew that Zhao Shen had a deep brotherly love, so how could he stand by and watch him die? He turned to look at Sudan. He said, Grand Commander, can you give me a favor and release Zhao Jun as well? Only save Zhao Jun. The Xianyu Patriarch and Liu Santong and other Xianyu sect disciples felt cold in their hearts. Sudan shook his head. Three-eyed master. This Zhao Jun attacked my best friend. Since he chased him so ruthlessly, he is courting death. He must die today. No need to plead for mercy. Those who kill people will be killed. He let the two guardians go because they just interfered. Do you really think he is easy to talk to and want people again? Do you think he came here today because he is bored? Three-eyed master's face suddenly darkened. Zhao Shen and Zhao Jun became more anxious. This Sudan is so strong that he doesn't even give face to three-eyed master. Several guardians of the heavenly palace also frowned. Fu Jun and many other Shuriken sneered. He must be strong. If he keeps bowing his head in front of the entire void, it would be a joke. But, very good. Three-eyed master's voice was cold, but the surrounding space began to tremble. How long has it been in this medieval void? How long has no one dared to talk to him like this? Even the 5 dragon masters, when they saw him, they had to bow their heads silently. When I saw the 5 dragons fighting the commander-in-chief that day, I felt a little itchy. It seems that today I have a chance to learn the commander-in-chief's skills. The three-eyed True Lord said coldly. Go ahead, True Lord. Sudan was not afraid at all. Wow. As soon as he finished speaking, a layer of beautiful starlight threads rippled from his body. Countless strong men in the void held their breath, looking at the overwhelming three-eyed True Lord and the equally confident Shuriken Commander Sudan. It's time to fight. This is definitely a rare peak showdown in the void. Palace Master, be careful of the threads. Long He and Zhao Shen both sent a voice message to remind him. The 3 updates are still criticized for being too slow, so I will update twice today. This volume will end soon, and Danki will sort it out. I also thank Kai and Zabos for the REWARD*****. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 755, The Power of Disheveled Black Hair. They were frightened by the starlight thread. Starlight thread? The three-eyed master looked at the beautiful starlight lingering around Sudan with cold eyes. Previously, the starlight thread easily imprisoned Long He and Zhao Shen, which was indeed extraordinary. And the last time Sudan fought with the 5 dragon gods, he had not used the starlight thread. Is this the new Taoism that Sudan has learned? The three-eyed master didn't care. He could imprison Long He and Zhao Shen, but he couldn't do anything to him. As he looked down, the increasingly powerful divine power was like a storm, surging out of his body. The space around him, which was already trembling, also vibrated more violently. Finally, it reached a certain limit. Boom. The space around the three-eyed master completely exploded. In an instant, in the broken space, a majestic sword formation condensed out. The sword formation was golden, and sword lights condensed, emitting terrifying power and pressure. Each sword light was extremely sharp. It made people fear it. That was the divine sword formation of the three-eyed true Lord. The sword formation enveloped the body, protecting the body, and killing the enemy. The sword light in the sword formation was extremely powerful. The three-eyed true Lord was able to rise to become the most recognized strongest person in the void, surpassing all the holy spirits. This sword formation played an indispensable role. With the appearance of this magnificent sword formation, the momentum between heaven and earth became fierce, and layers of power pressed down. And Sudang stood in front of the Taoist temple. The beautiful starlight threads were lingering around. The trajectory of the starlight threads gradually became complicated, like a mess, but the power contained in them was gradually skyrocketing, facing the sharp sword energy in the sky, and soaring into the sky without any retreat. At this moment, countless eyes were gathered here, firmly locked onto this world. The guardians in the heavenly palace, the shuriken of the Yellow Springs Deo mansion. Some were confident, some were worried, and some were frowning. The reputation of the three-eyed true Lord was there, and it was indeed better than Sudang. Although the commander has made progress in his cultivation, I feel that he is still a step behind the three-eyed true Lord. The bull-headed Ashura King muttered. The lord of the mansion next to him looked heavy-hearted. It must be said that on the surface, there is indeed a gap between Sudang and the three-eyed true Lord. But this battle has already been launched, and it must be fought. Are they fighting? In the Void God Court, which is extremely far away from the heavenly stems and heavenly world, the dragon body of the five dragon god lord is lying on the cloud bed, but his eyes are burning at the bronze mirror in the hall that reflects the internal scenes of the heavenly stems and heavenly world. They are really fighting. Fight. Fight. This Sudang has a bad temper, and doesn't even give face to the three-eyed. The five dragon god lord grinned, and his dragon tail fluttered. He knew Sudang's strength. It was rumored that he was on par with him in the void. In fact, he didn't use his full strength in that fight, but Sudang should have activated the secret method, and activating the secret method was just on par with him. How can he compare with the three-eyed true Lord? Relying on the powerful body protection artifact? Interesting. Looking at the scene in the bronze mirror, the five dragon god was extremely happy. He was also happy to see Sudang suffer a little loss. Commander-in-Chief Sudang is really murderous. He just wants to kill that Zhao Jun. One realm, Empress King and many fairies under her were watching. Many fairies looked at him with admiration. Only such a strong person deserves the title of Commander-in-Chief Shuriken. Empress King shook her head. The Commander-in-Chief has practiced for too short a time, and he doesn't know how powerful Brother Sandan is. She sighed. The three-eyed true Lord can support the heavenly palace alone, all thanks to his strength. Even the five dragon gods and Uluo Bodhisattva admit that they are no match for him, but Sudang is still not calm enough. Look, he's making a move. The eyes of the fairies lit up, and they watched intently. In the Buddhist temple of the eternal Buddha realm, no one preached or lectured. Uluo Bodhisattva sat on the lotus platform, watching this battle in silence. The sword array was surrounding him, and the three-eyed true Lord looked at Sudang coldly. He felt that the commander-in-chief was a little arrogant. Do you think that I can't do anything to you just because you have the protective artifact and the Yellow Spring Deo mansion behind you? You have to choose the target when you use your power to suppress others. He thought to himself. If this is what Sudang relies on, then the latter is really stupid. Today, he will let the commander-in-chief understand clearly what the rules of the void are. In this void, the strong are respected. The three-eyed true Lord snorted coldly and pointed his palm forward fiercely. The sword light in the surrounding sword array suddenly rioted. Boom. A torrent of sword energy and sword light whistled out. It was like the collapse of the sky and the crack of the earth, and the endless sharp Deo essence poured out and rushed. The surrounding space was broken layer by layer, and the fragments were annihilated by the sword light. This book was recently updated in Update. This is the power of the sword array, which is more than 1,000 times more powerful than the golden sword magic of Zhao Shen. Chaotic green hair. Sudang looked at the sword light, his face also solemn. The starry threads surrounding it instantly condensed into shape. The chaotic and extremely mysterious starry threads whistled up and turned into starlight all over the sky. All the light was disordered, the world was reversed, and the space was upside down. The chaotic green hair divine power was created by a strong man who surpassed the level of the emperor to test his successor. It was a real perfect realm of Taoism. Although Sudang's 8 stars were not enough to perfectly interpret this magical power, with the addition of the star's own power, it was enough to reach the perfect realm level. Although the perfect realm level was not a killing type magical power, Sudang was still confident enough to face the three-eyed true lord. But the torrent of sword light rushed into the chaotic green hair star realm without any obstruction. It wanted to drown Sudang directly, but in the next moment, the torrent of sword light was directly reversed, and a vast torrent of sword light, as if out of control, suddenly rushed towards the three-eyed true lord. What a strange realm. The three-eyed true lord frowned. His sword light torrent rushed down, and its power reached the top of the Daoxuan realm. He thought he could succeed in one move, but he didn't expect to be blocked by this strange star field. That field was extremely strange and chaotic, as if it could guide his sword light torrent. He didn't even know the direction to exert his strength. No matter how powerful the Taoism is, it must be used in a precise direction. Without precision, no matter how powerful the Taoism is, it is useless. Awesome. The star thread of the commander-in-chief is extraordinary. The eyes of many Shura kings lit up. Obviously, in the previous confrontation, Sudang gave them a big surprise. Feng Lao Rongzi, who also walked out of the Taoist temple below, also had bright eyes. Seeing Sudang's methods, she was truly relieved. After all, she was facing the three-eyed true lord, and the pressure was too great. As for those below the Holy Spirit, like Yuhua, there was complete darkness in front of them. The sword formation of the three-eyed true lord had already shattered the space into pieces, and the light was annihilated. They could only see a dark area in front of them, but they could instinctively feel that kind of fear. This is the method of the Holy Spirit. The sword of the infinite is destroyed. As the sword light turned, the three-eyed true lord was slightly surprised, but he immediately responded. He felt that Sudang's method was extraordinary, and then the divine light in his eyes shone even more. Suddenly, a number of shocking divine swords floated in the sword formation, and there were tens of thousands of divine swords. Boom. With the fingertips of the three-eyed true lord pinching the formula, the thousands of sword lights suddenly burst out, like fireworks, and the umbrella-shaped spread out, and the divine swords turned into flying rainbows, shooting at an astonishing speed. Swish, swish, swish. Each divine sword contained an extremely sharp power. Wherever it passed, it directly tore the space into hideous cracks, like a series of divine lightning flashing with divine light, avoiding the starfield that was entangled with the torrent of sword light, and roared towards Sudang's divine body with great cruelty and cunningness. He wanted to directly kill Sudang. At this moment, even Sudang had to secretly praise. This three-eyed master is worthy of the title of the strongest in the void. This sword technique has obviously reached a very high level. The victory or defeat still depends on the swordsmanship. Sudang's eyes were deep. Chapter 756, King's Sword. The distance between the thousands of divine swords and Sudang's divine body was shortened instantly. In the blink of an eye, they were within several feet. Sudang's face was normal. He clenched his palm and the dark and ferocious purgatory divine sword was already in his hand. Then a dazzling sword light crossed the space and cut through everything. Sword technique. Shura. Swish. The edge of the dazzling sword light was hazy, and the path of death was contained in it. The sword light passed by, just like the center of the calm and waveless blue water suddenly erupted with a shocking wave. Wherever the sword light passed, everything was unstoppable. No matter how powerful your sword light was, it would still be destroyed. Shura. Sudang's 26 years of endless sword technique experience was summarized into 3 styles. As the starting style of the 3 styles, although the power is not the strongest, it is the fastest and most domineering one. Cutting 10,000 swords with one sword directly broke the sword technique of the three-eyed true lord. Sudang's divine body instantly floated up, and his Xian Luo Wang Xiang body technique was activated. His figure was like a phantom, and he suddenly went towards the three-eyed true lord. His sword technique focused on killing and blindly defending was obviously not his fighting style. Whoosh! Xian Luo Wang's Yang body technique penetrated time and space, and in the blink of an eye, he was above the head of the three-eyed true lord. The world was shattered, and the sword formation surrounded the center, and emitted a hazy power. Su Dong swung his sword fiercely. Purgatory Divine Sword, Sword Technique Dawn. Like a ray of dawn shining in the darkness, the dazzling and dazzling sword light whizzed down, and also mercilessly cut down the three-eyed true lord's divine body. The three Shura styles. The first Shura style is just the starting style. The second style Dawn. The power is increasing. Although the three-eyed true lord is confident in his heart, he has seen Su Dong fight with the five dragons divine lord, so he naturally knows Su Dong's sword technique. If there is anything eye-catching about Su Dong. First, the divine body. The divine body is comparable to the five dragons divine lord. The second is a sword technique. The genius who is recognized as the most evil in sword technique. Within 1,000 years, he has pushed the Xian Weishan sword technique, which is known as the strongest in the endless era of the void, to the 10th level. What an evil. 10,000 swords return to one. The three-eyed true lord also took this dawn-breaking style seriously. Although he considers himself the best in Taoism, he is far inferior to the five dragons in terms of divine body. With a divine body, he is looking for abuse. But, at the moment when the Purgatory Divine Sword in Su Dong's hand fell with a dazzling sword light, the majestic sword formation surrounding the three-eyed true lord suddenly turned, and at the same time, accompanied by a shocking sword chant, a Tangshan divine sword also soared into the sky. The sword light reached the sky and was unstoppable. The next moment, it collided directly with the Purgatory Divine Sword in Su Dong's hand. At the moment of collision, the terrifying power fluctuations suddenly erupted with the two people as a center. The heaven and earth were shocked. Puff! An invisible power swept across the mountains between heaven and earth. The mountains were directly turned into powder. But the lives among them, some ordinary people in the city, felt their bodies shaken, as if some great terror had descended, but in the end it was just like a breeze blowing on their faces. Nothing happened. After looking at each other, they all knelt down. Miracle. It must be the top gods fighting each other. Many lives were shocked. Boom. In the center of the collision of power, the sword light and the sword shadow were tit for tat. The sword was more domineering, the sword was more sharp, and the power carried by the two collided overwhelmingly. In the end, the unparalleled sword light and sword shadow all dissipated at the same time in an instant, and the three-eyed true lord in the sword formation stood still. Su Dong was a blur. The divine body had appeared 100 feet away. After stabilizing his body, the blade of the Purgatory Divine Sword in his hand was emitting a strong breath of the Deo of Death, shaping it like a demon god. It made people palpitate. At this moment, the three-eyed true lord no longer had the previous indifference, and his eyes were slightly fixed as he looked forward. Then he glanced at the many figures below who were trembling and looking up at the sky. They were also scared just now. When gods fight, mortals suffer. Such a strong divine power, such a powerful control. I didn't expect the commander-in-chief to improve so quickly. In just a few decades, his cultivation has improved again. I admire him. The three-eyed true lord sighed with a rumbling voice. He asked himself that his control over divine power had reached the extreme. With the addition of the Tao and the long years of polishing, his control over himself had also reached a limit. When the divine power was released, it could be accurate to the point of not losing a millimeter. He could make sure that the power leaked out would not harm ordinary lives, but he didn't expect it. Su Dong could actually control his divine power in such a collision. How long has Su Dong been practicing? How long has he been practicing? He can't help but accept it. Su Dong smiled, didn't say much, but was fully alert. His 8th star lit up, and his divine body and divine power transformed and soared enough to be comparable to the level of the 5 dragon lords. But the most outrageous improvement was his will. Will takes shape. Pure will is to control oneself. The stronger the will, the stronger the control over oneself. The will of the transformation level allowed Su Dong to reach the peak level of control over every bit of his divine power. Although they only fought for 2 moves, it was enough to see the opponent's skills. This scene spread praise. Three-eyed true lord actually praised many holy spirits who watched this battle sighed. For example, the scattered cultivators such as the Saint Lord of Jiuhua Mountain also understood that this is how the circle of powerful forces is. Although it looks fierce, it is generally not really a fight to the death. Moreover, only the strong can be valued. The attitude of the three-eyed true lord towards Sudang before. It is obvious that he only values Huang Quandeofu. Now, he really admires Sudang. There is no way not to admire him. The rapid progress in cultivation can be said to be good luck and some opportunities. But the control of divine power is so strong. Obviously, the great commander has a solid foundation. Such solid progress, how amazing is this talent? They admired, but some people were quite shocked. This book was recently updated in update. In the Void Divine Court, in the Dragon God Heaven and Earth, the 5 dragon gods had already floated down from the cloud bed. A dragon head with a prominent dragon horn came to the bronze mirror, and the golden pupil stared at it. His divine body is terrifying, his swordsmanship is very strong, and his divine power has not changed much, only the star thread has been added. Why do I feel that he is stronger than at the Holy Spirit conference? The 5 dragon gods used to think that Sudang was very sharp and a genius, but now he thinks he is unfathomable. The stronger the person, the sharper the intuition. He has surpassed me? The 5 dragon gods' face was ugly. In the heavenly stems and heavenly land, the three-eyed true lord's face returned to indifference. Although he praised Sudang, it was only for his training speed. Rapid progress does not mean strong strength. The commander-in-chief will still lose today. The dry and white palm suddenly blurred and grasped the hilt of the divine sword on his back. Choke. With a shocking sword chant, the divine sword was unsheathed in an instant. The dazzling green sword light instantly illuminated the void. The three-eyed true lord held the hilt tightly. It was a divine sword that shone with green light and was covered with green veins. Under the green veins, the divine nature of the divine sword soared to the sky. The long sword was unsheathed, as if a king had descended, looking down on the world. The tip of the sword trembled slightly, and continued to emit a heart-pounding sharp sword light. The king's sword. Forced brother three-eyed to draw the king's sword. The queen of love in the one her realm exclaimed. Sudang also had a solemn expression, looking at the divine sword. Of course, he had read the reputation of this divine sword more than once in the files of the Dao mansion. The epic artifact, the Sword of King's Landing. It was one of the 2 trump cards of the three-eyed true lord. It was rumored that, in order to obtain the king's sword, the three-eyed true lord was chased and killed by hundreds of top holy spirits. That battle also shocked the void, but the final result was that hundreds of top holy spirits were killed by the three-eyed true lord holding the king's sword. That battle established the three-eyed lord's status as the pinnacle of the Holy Spirit, and also made the sovereign sword shine. The increase in the power of the Dao by an epic artifact is absolutely terrifying. Sudang was naturally very solemn. Wow, the star thread had already consumed the sword river, and it was suspended around him again, emitting beautiful starlight. Under this starlight, Sudang's body exuded a monstrous bloody aura, and the purgatory divine sword was full of blade light. The last of the Shura 3 styles, Chaos Tribulation, is ready to go. At the same time, Ultimate Mode. The power was amplified 100 times, and the divine light of power suddenly shot up from Sudang's body, brilliant and magnificent. In order to win this battle, Sudang has also tried his best. I don't believe that I won't update 3 times tomorrow. Chapter 757, Revealing the Edge, Shocking the Void. The three-eyed true lord stared at Sudang in front of him with a cold look. Without any hesitation, he swung the Junlin sword in his hand fiercely, and suddenly a green wave spread out. Like a circle of green ripples. Where the ripples passed, there was a green sword light looming between heaven and earth. Those sword lights emerged between heaven and earth, entangled with each other, and almost in the blink of an eye, they condensed into a huge green sword light. The green sword light stood between heaven and earth, shining green. Looking closely, it was like a green jade sword that penetrated the sky and the earth, extremely transparent and condensed. The green sword light pointed at Sudang. The heavenly extreme green light sword. The three-eyed true lord's heavenly extreme green light sword style. Many powerful people were amazed, and many guardians of the heavenly palace had even more blazing eyes. This sword method was created by the three-eyed true lord, and it was pushed all the way to the Daoxuan realm. The sword light condensed, containing the essence of life and death. which could eliminate demons and evil, and be invincible. Haha, let's see what Sudang can do to block the Palace Master's sword. Zhao Shen showed a happy expression. He also practiced swordsmanship, so he naturally knew the horror of this sword. Swish! A huge green sword light suddenly pierced out, splitting the world in half, and pierced Sudang, as if it was the beginning of the world. At this moment, the three-eyed True Lord, who was recognized as the strongest in the void, truly demonstrated his extremely powerful Taoist methods. Many Shurikings, including Feng Lao Rongzi below, and some fairies and strong men in the virtual space who supported Sudang, all looked nervous, and watched from afar. How can Sudang resist this sword? Boom, boom. Beautiful star-like thread soared into the sky from around Sudang's divine body. The chaotic and strange starlight threads coiled and rotated in the virtual space, running out a unique and strange trajectory. Under the urging of Sudang's will, the chaotic green silk magic instantly covered the sky and resisted the green sword light. But the chaotic green hair divine ability was strange and unpredictable, shaking the void. It was actually the evolution of the 8 stars that Sudang had lit up. Sudang still didn't know what the stars were made of, but in terms of mystery, it was definitely not inferior to an epic artifact. 1 alone was not inferior, let alone 8. Wow. The chaotic green hair divine ability domain directly enveloped and entangled the green sword light. Break. The three-eyed True Lord snorted coldly, and the sovereign sword was activated. The green sword light rippled layer by layer, causing the surrounding Holy Spirit lore to vibrate, and the space was even shattered into fragments. Before, he had only activated the sword formation to activate the sword river, but was blocked by Sudang's starfield. At this moment, he activated the sovereign sword, and the power was different from heaven and earth. With 1 sword, he was confident that he could break Sudang's star thread. But the majestic green sword light fiercely penetrated directly into the starfield, trying to tear the barrier apart. However, at the moment when the green sword light penetrated the field of the chaotic green silk magic, the huge green sword tip, covered by the star silk threads, shot straight to Sudang's front, and was about to penetrate the latter directly. But in the end, the huge green sword light suddenly stagnated in the eyes of the crowd. The face of the three-eyed True Lord changed slightly, and his brows immediately frowned. He urged the king's sword, but felt that the sword tip was pointing at a chaotic area, a mess. No matter how powerful his Taoist power was, it was like duckweed entering the sea, and was swayed by the turbulent waves. What's going on? I used the king's sword, and the power increased by dozens of times, but I still couldn't break his field magic? The three-eyed True Lord was surprised. Previously, I only thought that the star silk thread was extraordinary, but I didn't expect that even his king's sword could resist it. Sudang's eyes were calm. Although he was blessed with an epic artifact, in terms of the profoundness of swordsmanship and the level of power, the three-eyed True Lord was still a long way from the level of perfection. After all, this chaotic green hair magical power was used to test the threshold of the level of perfection. If he could not reach the level of perfection, he could not penetrate. This was the shackle. Blocking this sword would be his chance. Take my sword. Whoosh. Sudang's divine body exuded a soaring blood energy, like a demon god, holding the purgatory divine sword, and his figure instantly turned into a blurred phantom, rushing towards the three-eyed True Lord at an astonishing speed. Boom. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of the three-eyed True Lord, and chopped him down with a sword. Swordsmanship, chaos, ultimate mode, power increased 100 times. Divine body divine power increased. With one sword, the void was broken layer by layer. It was broken like a mirror, and the black cracks that broke were this sword, the sword that Sudang now had the deepest level of perception. Block it. The three-eyed True Lord held the Junlin divine sword, not panicking at all, and raised the sword to block. But Sudang's sword suddenly changed the arc of the sword that fell. This subtle change was extremely accurate. In an instant, he avoided the sovereign sword raised by the three-eyed True Lord, and slashed directly at the three-eyed True Lord's divine body. What a tricky boy. The three-eyed True Lord's face changed slightly. He had no time to retract the sword he had just raised. At this angle, the only thing he could do was to stab it with the sword and stab it directly at Sudang's chest. At the same time, He mobilized the power of the sword formation around the divine body and the divine robe to resist. The sovereign sword stabbed out, trying to force Sudang to retreat before the sword fell. But Sudang's sword fell, which was preemptive. The speed was so fast that a black crack was like black lightning, and it fell directly on the chest of the three-eyed true lord. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. Peng. The sword array was activated, and the sword lights intertwined, which required defense. However, Sudang's sword light was too fast, and the speed of the sword lights intertwining could not match the speed of Sudang's sword light falling. The sword light collided with the divine body of the three-eyed true lord. The divine robe worn by the three-eyed true lord was also a top-notch divine weapon. Even if the five dragons divine lord attacked with all his strength, he could withstand it. But when this sword fell, the three-eyed true lord felt his entire divine body tremble, and a burst of severe pain. The extremely terrifying power of the sword light penetrated layer by layer, and even after being weakened by the divine robe, it made his divine body tremble instantly, and his blood surged. Peng. At the same time, his sword also stabbed Sudang's chest. A layer of magical lotus phantom appeared on Sudang's body. The lotus phantom resisted a layer, and then the lotus phantom easily cracked, and the power penetrated into the divine robe, and then hit Sudang's divine body through the divine robe. Whoosh, whoosh. The two figures were separated in an instant. Blocked. Sudang looked at the three-eyed true lord coldly. He had used all his strength to attack, but he was blocked like this. What a powerful sword. What a powerful divine body. The three-eyed true lord looked at his chest. His divine robe was torn, and there was a blood mark on his chest inside the torn divine robe, and divine blood oozed out. Although he recovered in the blink of an eye, he still looked at Sudang with palpitations. He also looked at the latter's chest. Sudang's divine robe was fluttering, and his divine body was floating with blood and energy, without any damage. After a fight, he was injured. Many strong men in the heavenly stems and the earth were completely holding their breath. The two strong men fighting at this moment were too terrifying and powerful. Our great commander is too evil. Not only did he block the terrifying sword light with one hand, but he also injured the three-eyed true lord with his backhand. The power that burst out was enough to injure the three-eyed true lord. The bull-headed Ashura king was full of admiration. The commander is very strong, and he can fight to this extent. The lord of the palace nodded. The heavenly palace guardians did not speak, and their eyes were only fixed on the two figures in the sky above. The strong are respected, and the strength displayed by the two above has completely conquered them. Blocked. Not only blocked. Three-eyed was also injured. In the virtual space, there were also exclamations. No one expected that the three-eyed true lord who took out the sovereign sword not only failed to crush Sudang, but was injured instead. Chapter 758 How to Win. Amid the astonishment, some strong men also understood. It was entirely due to the starlight thread. It was because of the starlight thread that we were able to resist the sword tactics of the three-eyed true lord sovereign sword. What kind of magical power is that? Sudang's swordsmanship and divine body were already recognized as powerful. He was able to compete with the five dragons divine lord, and this time he was able to perform so amazingly, entirely because of the starfield. He directly blocked the strongest sword of the three-eyed true lord. How amazing. Everyone was thinking, wanting to explore what kind of Taoist magic power the starlight thread was. The outside world was amazed and shocked, but Sudang's eyes were solemn. It's troublesome. He activated the ultimate mode. The strongest sword with all the power burst out, and the sword was swung at the best time, but it only scratched the three-eyed true lord's skin. This three-eyed true lord is indeed terrifyingly strong. He used all his strength, but that was all. It would be difficult to deal with the next step. Okay. The three-eyed true lord shouted loudly, and his originally cold face showed a rare excitement. Sudang, I underestimated you before. With just the star silk thread, you can look down on all the strong men in the void. If I'm not mistaken, just talking about the mystery, your star silk thread has reached the level of perfection. He said loudly. Sudang's face was calm. The outside world was in an uproar. Perfection level of Taoism and magical powers? The word perfection represents too many meanings. To reach the perfect state in terms of realm is a level of the 10 palaces shuriken, and perfection in Taoism means that the Yama sword is fully mastered and can burst out all its power, or the Xianweishan sword method is mastered to the 11th level. This is the perfection of Taoism. In fact, it is often more difficult to achieve the perfection of Taoism than the perfection of realm, because the requirements of Taoism for innate understanding are too high and too outrageous. Your divine power realm should only be the middle stage of Daoxuan realm. In the middle stage of Daoxuan realm, you can master the Dao of the perfect realm. Although it is not a killing method, it is also extraordinary. The three-eyed true Lord sighed. What is a genius? This is a genius. His understanding of Dao is terrifying. No wonder Huang Quan Dao Fu attaches great importance to him. Many powerful people in the void are also silent. This great commander is too evil. Too extraordinary. Su Dong looked at the three-eyed true lord in front of him, nodded and said nothing more. The chaotic green hair magical power was copied by him, and it was not considered that he understood it, so naturally there was nothing to be proud of. In the dilemma before him, there was only one last way to defeat the three-eyed true lord. That is, he withdrew the chaotic green hair magical power and transformed it into the operation of the mountain and sea world origin system to provide star power. Use the star power to burst close to the perfect realm of divine power to win this battle. However, once the star power is revealed, it will be even more sensational. No, the star power is a big secret and must not be leaked. Su Dong shook his head silently. Once the star power bursts out, I'm afraid that Huang Quan Dao Fu will capture me for a search. Daoism can be said to be a heaven-defying enlightenment, and divine power, an energy system that is heaven-defying, is beyond common sense. What should I do? He thought. The three-eyed true lord in front of him regained his composure. Now he no longer had the slightest thought of looking down on Su Dong, and completely placed the latter on the same level as himself. If you can master the perfect realm of divine power and Daoism, you can look down on the void. If you are given another 2 years to grow, your realm will be improved, and your divine power will be stronger. I will not be your opponent. But in this battle today, you are still a little short of the heat. The three-eyed true lord looked at Su Dong and said slowly. The two people's fight reached this point, and the three-eyed true lord also got angry. If he retreated today, then the heavenly palace would eventually be suppressed by the Huang Quan Dao Fu in the future. After all, Su Dong was too strong at the moment. He didn't give him a step down at all. If the three-eyed true lord had an absolute upper hand at this moment, then he would just laugh it off and take Zhao Jun away and forget about it. But at this moment, it was obvious that he no longer had that attitude. Su Dong held the purgatory divine sword. After his eyes stayed on the green sword light that was entangled and worn by the star silk thread for a moment, he also felt a little confident. As the three-eyed true lord said, with the chaotic green hair divine power in hand, he was able to stand invincible. What other means do you have? Please use them as much as you can. Su Dong said. Okay. The three-eyed true lord took a deep breath. Then his eyes suddenly became cold. Whoosh. This time the three-eyed true lord took the initiative to move. Previously, he only activated the sword art remotely, and Su Dong was the one who fought in close combat. This time, he moved first. With the starfield, all his Taoist magic would be blocked and weakened. Even if Su Dong covered his body with star silk threads, he would not be able to do anything with his Taoist magic. To defeat Su Dong, he had to fight close to him. The three-eyed true lord moved, and his divine body directly turned into a sharp sword light, shooting directly towards Su Dong. At the same time, he poured divine power into the green giant sword trapped by the star thread, preventing Su Dong's star thread from pulling out a gap. No matter how powerful the Taoism is, it has its limits, and the same is true for the star thread. The speed of the three-eyed true lord is fast enough, but it is nothing in Su Dong's eyes. His Xian Luo Wang Xiang body method has been pushed up to the second level, which fits time and space perfectly. It is easy to dodge. This book has been updated recently in #@. Update. Su Dong dodged. Swish swish swish. The three-eyed true lord exploded. The Junlin divine sword instantly stabbed out hundreds of swords in succession, and each sword burst out endless divine power. Su Dong dodged, while trying his best to swing the purgatory divine sword to block it. Bang bang bang. Under the burst of divine power, Sudong was blown away by the sword light again and again. Sudong did not dare to activate the ultimate mode to swing the sword again. The ultimate mode can only burst out 3 swords. After 3 swords, it is a weak period. Shura, Dawn, Chaos. Sudong used a series of sword techniques to fight back. Some sword lights, his divine body could withstand them, so he did. Destroy, destroy, destroy. The three-eyed true lord shouted, like a domineering monarch, and he no longer restrained himself. His powerful divine power completely burst out and crushed Sudong. Every sword was penetrated with an extremely terrifying power. With the blessing of the epic divine sword Junlin sword, every sword was like a meteorite falling. Some can be avoided. Sudong would rely on his body skills to dodge and evade. Some of the power is weak, and Sudong would rather withstand it than choose to use his sword to counterattack. What a strong sword technique. Sudong fought. He was frightened at the same time. This is the gap between himself and the three-eyed true lord, who has been polished for a long time in the Deoxuan realm. He is strong in all aspects, and in terms of skills, he is slightly better than him. It's not that the three-eyed true lord is strong. It's that my sword technique is not enough. Sudong also knew where the gap was. Shura 3 styles. It was okay to deal with the weak, but it was not enough to deal with such a strong man. A ray of green sword light floated over, and Sudong quickly swung his sword to block it. After countless times of swinging his sword to block, he subconsciously used the first move of the Shura 3 styles. Shura. He swung his sword. Boom. The sword light and the sword light collided. Sudong was blown away, but his eyes lit up slightly. Huh. Why? It feels different. Sudong's heart skipped a beat. He just swung the same sword, but it felt completely different. Why? Shura evolved from the prologue of the battlefield. The prologue of the battlefield requires oppression, sharpening the sword intent, and gathering the sword intent. Ah, I was wrong. This sword, it's like this. Sudong's eyes suddenly lit up. He was wrong. He was wrong. The Shura 3 styles was just a simplification. The sword he ultimately pursued was not like this. The three-eyed true lord kept oppressing. At the same time, he sent a message. Commander-in-Chief, if you admit defeat now, I will withdraw immediately. You can kill Zhao Jundu at will. Are you willing? He was anxious. He burst out with all his strength, and even Sudong's body protection artifact could not be broken. In addition, Sudong's divine body was so strong that it was just a tickle. The strongest swordsmanship was restrained by the comprehension of the star thread. How to win. Chapter 759. The 8 Desolate Divine Eyes. He was scared. After all, the three-eyed master had been famous for a long time. In terms of reputation, he was responsible for the scattered cultivators of the Heavenly Palace. There were many scattered cultivators, and blind worship of him was the most important cohesive force of the entire Heavenly Palace. When the scattered cultivators of the Heavenly Palace walked outside, the biggest confidence was not the three-eyed master, who was known as the strongest in the void. Reputation was much more important to him. He had to be scared. Sudong had the Yellow Springs Deo mansion behind him, and he had only been practicing for a short time. What was a small setback? Besides, this time he showed his strength, and the whole void saw the means of this great commander. When the star thread came out, his Junlin sword was suppressed. The perfect realm of Taoism was enough to look down on the void. Enough. Boom. But Sudong seemed to be unable to hear his voice transmission. He performed his swordsmanship over and over again, and the swordsmanship became faster and faster, more and more urgent, and more domineering. The Cheyenne Waitian swordsmanship was known as the most powerful swordsmanship in the void in the Endless Era. You can imagine how domineering it was. Sudong became more and more courageous as the battle went on. The face of the three-eyed master twitched, and his expression became much gloomier. Is Sudong really young and full of vigor? Is he really going to make him look too ugly? In that case, I will let you see what is my means to become the strongest in the void. The three-eyed master took a deep breath and stared at Sudong with cold eyes. He was also forced into a hurry. He had to really scare Sudong. In an instant, an extremely terrifying aura suddenly spread out from his divine body. Along with it, the strange pattern of gold and silver entangled in the center of his eyebrows suddenly shone brightly. Boom. The two golden and silver lights, like two golden and silver giant pythons, suddenly soared into the sky and circled straight up. Then an extremely fierce aura contained in it burst out, shaking the world. When this extremely fierce aura suddenly burst out, Sudong was also shocked in front of this aura. Even though he possessed the top-notch divine body protecting artifact, the body protecting divine lotus, he was still shocked in his heart. The Taoist magic of the immortals was strange and vast. There were too many dangers that made people unable to guard against. So the moment this fierce breath appeared, Sudong's figure suddenly retreated, directly retreating to the sky several miles away, looking at the figure of the three-eyed true lord with a solemn face. At this time, the three-eyed true lord exuded an extremely terrifying and amazing aura from head to toe. It was a strange aura that made any life instinctively fear and fear. The gold and silver colors surrounded the void, like two circling snakes. Under this breath, the face of the three-eyed true lord was a little distorted, and there were blue veins on his forehead, which seemed to be quite painful. The gold and silver auras did not appear out of thin air, but were more like being extracted and released from his body. As this aura continued to emerge, the gold and silver snakes became more solid, and gradually, they really seemed to condense into two wild pythons. The two golden and silver pythons extended from the inner brow of the three-eyed true lord, constantly entangled and coiled, and finally turned into a round eyeball. The eyeball was the size of a millstone, and floated 3 feet above the head of the three-eyed true lord. The eyeball was shaking all the time, slightly illusory, as if it would dissipate at any time. But even so, the moment the golden and silver eyeball appeared, the entire void seemed to be filled with a layer of wild and strange aura, and the virtual space reflected a faint shadow. It was a vast and broken world, with all kinds of strange beasts, violent dragons, bleeding demon tigers, and torn snakes. The scene was extremely shocking. At this moment, whether it was the heavenly stems, the earth, or the virtual space, countless eyes were looking at this scene in shock. Among them, many powerful people in the void were not unfamiliar with this scene, but they were also horrified. 8 desolate divine eyes. 8 desolate divine eyes. One of the most powerful Taoist magics in the void. The most powerful Taoist magic of the three-eyed true lord has really been forced out. Lady King, 5 Dragon God, and JWO Bodhisattva all looked at this scene with burning eyes. In the endless era void, there are many super powerful Taoist magics and techniques. Needless to say, they are of high value. The most important thing is that some of the difficulties and taboos when practicing or using them are more famous. For example, the most powerful swordsmanship in the void, the 12-layered heaven swordsmanship, is widely circulated, but it is extremely difficult, so difficult that it makes people doubt their lives. Over the long years, how many amazing geniuses chose to practice, but eventually gave up silently. It's too difficult. The later it gets, the harder it gets. And the 8 desolate divine eyes is also one of the famous Taoist magics in the void, passed down from an emperor. It is also difficult to practice, and it has an unparalleled side effect. It hurts the mind. The more times it is used, the greater the damage to the soul. Of course, this side effect is accompanied by its terrible power, and the three-eyed true lord is one of the few who has cultivated the 8 desolate divine eye to a very high level. This method is even more shocking to the void. The title of three-eyed true lord, 3 eyes, refers to the 8 desolate divine eye. He is angry. Sudong should admit defeat. Admit defeat. There is no need to fight hard. Even if he has a body protection artifact, he will be seriously injured by the 8 desolate divine eye. The 5 dragons divine lord shook his head. Countless strong men in the heaven and earth held their breath. Zhao Shen, Long He and other guardians did not speak. Obviously they did not expect that their own palace master would even use the magic of the 8 desolate divine eye. Master, it is the 8 desolate divine eye. The bull-headed Shura King trembled. This book has been updated recently in #@. Update. The great commander knows what he is doing. He has not admitted defeat. Maybe he can resist. The Lord could only say. He was half believing and half doubting when he said this. But this is how it is when the strong fight. If you are not 100% sure, you just have to fight as hard as you can. Boom. In the shocked eyes between heaven and earth, the golden and silver pupils floated above the head of the three-eyed true lord, vibrating slightly, releasing a trace of golden and silver electric arcs, and then tearing the space. The face of the three-eyed true lord was pale. The use of the 8 desolate divine eyes consumed his soul, but it was all worth it to be able to overpower Sudang. So there was a compelling divine light in his eyes. Commander-in-Chief Sudang, do you admit defeat? The three-eyed true lord asked. Now that Sudang admits defeat, it will be good for everyone. 8 desolate divine eyes. Sudang silently looked at the golden and silver pupils and the wild shadow behind it. The Taoist files had long recorded the top divine art of the three-eyed true lord, but the price was too high. I didn't expect that the three-eyed true lord would be forced to this point and use this extremely taboo divine art for Zhao Jun. The 8 desolate divine eyes were placed there more for deterrence, not for use. Sudang forgot that the two of them represented too many things. He might only care about Zhao Jun, and the face of the Dao mansion could be taken, but the three-eyed true lord was the pillar of the heavenly palace and the faith of countless casual cultivators in the void in the Middle Ages. If he lost, this faith would collapse. He couldn't afford to lose. Sudang was silent, and then silently raised the dark and hideous purgatory divine sword in his hand. Between heaven and earth, he was like an unyielding demon god who had fought 100 battles. He was fearless, wherever the blade pointed. This was his answer. Very good. The three-eyed true lord sneered, but his eyes flashed with murderous intent. Then, from the golden and silver 8 desolate divine eyes above his head, a golden and silver beam of light suddenly burst out. The beam of light instantly penetrated the sky and the earth. At that moment, all things were annihilated by the unparalleled speed and power of this beam of light. 3 more chapters are sent here. Thanks to the book friend 42682 boss for the reward. I'm tired. Chapter 760, the blood demon reappears. Boss. When the golden and silver light column penetrated the void, the aura of divine power raging between heaven and earth condensed instantly, condensing into a series of phantoms like sword lights. In a short moment, the phantoms of sword lights condensed outside the light column reached tens of millions. Tens of millions of sword lights swept across the sky along with the light column, like a shocking divine sword slashing down from the sky, and wherever it passed, the void was torn apart. Even on the ground of the heaven and earth, on the sea, and in some cities of countries thousands of miles away, an extremely huge crack appeared in an instant. The origin of heaven and earth was injured in this instant, and this power was so strong that even the three-eyed true lord could not control it perfectly. Some unlucky lives below were also instantly affected by the power and turned into dust. When the power of heaven comes, human life is like an ant. This power made countless strong men in the entire void scalp numb. The sword light and the light column across the sky were all pointed directly at Sudang. Everyone knew how terrifying it would be to be hit by that light column head on. The people in the heavenly palace were shocked but happy, while the lord of the mansion and the bull-headed Ashura king all changed their faces. Although they thought of the horror of the 8 desolate divine eyes, the three-eyed true lord used it and integrated his own swordsmanship into it, and the power was multiplied, becoming even more terrifying. At this moment, Feng Lao Rongzi below was even more trembling. If Sudang was hit by the slight column, I'm afraid that even with the protective artifact, his divine body would be instantly shattered, and that would be really dangerous. Unlike Feng Lao Rongzi's worries, Zhao Jun and Xianyu Patriarch below had bright eyes. The previously sluggish demeanor rose again. True lord is true lord, and Sudang is still a little naive. Zhao Jun was full of excitement. This was a battle of life and death for him, and he didn't expect it to reach this level. Moreover, Sudang had indeed shown some strength before, and he was afraid that even the three-eyed true lord could not suppress him. Fortunately, the situation has reversed again. In the countless eyes, Sudang also looked at the terrifying light column and endless sword light that suddenly appeared in front of him. The speed of this method was already extremely fast, and he did not have the opportunity to think more. Tens of millions of sword lights were still a small matter. The most terrifying thing was the light column of the 8 desolate divine eye in the center of the sword light. The light column was gold and silver, containing the essence of life and death, and could tear the sky and split the earth. It was like 2 wild giant pythons merged into one, constantly emitting majestic power. This kind of power was so tyrannical and terrifying that even Sudong, who had a body protecting artifact and a divine body, was quite confident, and he couldn't help but feel trembling and stinging at this moment. It's really terrifying. If I really use the body protecting artifact and divine body to resist, I'm afraid that my soul-eating demon king body will be pierced instantly. His divine body is comparable to a divine artifact, but it also has its limits. The power of the slight column exceeded his limit. The 8 desolate divine eyes worthy of its reputation. Sudong stood with a knife in his hand. There was no sign of retreat on his face. Instead, there was a madness in his cold eyes. He held his breath slightly, and the previous insights into the sword skills came to his mind. In front of him, there was no heaven and earth, no things, only a long knife. The bloody sword energy suddenly gathered within 1,000 miles. Endless sword intent and endless sword energy gathered into a hazy sword shadow. At this moment, the light column and sword light that penetrated the sky and the earth seemed to slow down very slowly, and everything returned to silence. In the incomparable silence, a bloody sword shadow suddenly condensed behind Sudong. Boom. At this moment, the light column carrying thousands of sword lights finally fell mercilessly, and the power of tearing the sky and splitting the earth burst out directly, and the space where Sudong was directly swept into darkness. Enough. You forced me to use the 8 desolate divine eyes. This battle should be over. The three-eyed true lord had a fascinating look and was extremely confident. His shout resounded through the heavens and the earth, as if he had already won. This move was also his limit, but it was enough to suppress Sudong. This young commander-in-chief was indeed a terrifyingly gifted monster. However, no matter how terrifying his talent was, he was still too young, too strong and too arrogant. They in the Heavenly Palace could respect the Yellow Springs Deo mansion, but they could never be suppressed at will. He had to win today. Boom. A dazzling beam of light and millions of sword lights tore through the sky and earth and swept towards Sudong. Countless eyes could only see the space area that was swept into darkness at that moment. If they didn't know that Sudong and the commanders of the Yellow Springs Deo mansion must be carrying top-notch body protecting artifacts and magic weapons, they would have guessed that the latter had fallen at that moment. It's easy to defeat the powerful people of the big forces, but it's hard to kill them. Who doesn't have a way to save his life? In the pitch black space, when the beam of light from the 8 desolate divine eye swept over, Sudong's eyes were filled with madness, but then he swung his hand violently, and the purgatory divine sword blurred instantly. The bloody shadow of the sword floating behind him suddenly enlarged. The sword shadow crossed the sky, and suddenly a dazzling sword light rose up. Boom. Without the slightest hesitation, as if dragging a heavy sword light, Sudong clenched his hands, and then swung them forward fiercely. At this moment, the bloody sword shadow swelled up in the wind, turning into a sword light of thousands of feet, and slashed down fiercely in the darkness. The moment the sword shadow fell, an indescribable storm of sword light raged, and that piece of heaven and earth completely disappeared and destroyed, and even time and space became distorted at this moment. A violent atmosphere spread out. The three-eyed true lord was sure of victory. Many guardians of the Heavenly Palace were even more happy, and Fenglao Rongzi, Fujin and many other Shurikings frowned and looked at the void with worry. In the darkness, the power was too terrifying, and they were unable to detect Sudong's situation. But suddenly, this book was recently updated in #@. Update. The face of the three-eyed true lord changed slightly. Under the 8 desolate divine eyes floating above his head, everything was naturally under control, but at this moment, he suddenly showed a trace of horror. Then, many eyes in the void suddenly burst into an uproar at the same time. They all looked at the end of the power of the 8 desolate divine eyes that was twisted in the dark. What is that? Oh my god. The knife. It's a blood-colored knife. In the twisted darkness, the terrifying sweeping 8 desolate divine eyes light column and the millions of sword lights were still condensed, but under the light column, a 1,000-foot-long blood-colored knife shadow suddenly appeared, and then it fell fiercely. At that moment, the 8 desolate divine eyes light column and the millions of sword lights were all blocked by the knife light, oppressed, twisted, and broken. Then there was no pause. The terrifying blood-stained blade slashed the 8 desolate divine eye light column and pushed it back in the opposite direction, making a terrifying sound. The power of this blade not only swept away the power accumulated by the 8 desolate divine eye, but was even stronger than that, so powerful that it made people's scalps numb. Under the blood-stained blade, Sudong's figure stood in the void, his hands still kept swinging forward, and the tip of the purgatory divine sword in his hand was trembling. Shock. Under the 8 desolate divine eye, Sudong was not only not defeated directly, but also swung his blade to fight back, and the blood-stained blade light he swung out was also so powerful that it pushed the 8 desolate divine eye back. The heaven and earth were shocked. The void was shocked. Even in the distant world of the eternal Buddha realm, Uluo Bodhisattva and others who had been watching this battle in a calm posture were slightly moved at this moment, looking at the blood-stained blade shadow in the projection. That blade. It's the demon hell blood kill. The whole void was moved. Chapter 761, Blood Demon vs. 8 Desolate Divine Eyes. The Commander-in-Chief has mastered the Blood Demon prison. In the Wanhu realm, Empress King was also shocked. The fairies who accompanied them to watch all had strange lights in their eyes, staring at the figure in the projection. The void was vast, and when they saw the bloody knife shadow, some recognized it, while others were still in a trance. Even through the screen, the knife shadow really shocked them. It was like the knife of the devil, destroying everything and slashing everything. In the heavens and the earth, the many guardians of the heavenly palace, whose emotions had just risen, frowned again. They were all holy spirits. It had been a long time since they saw such a scene. A battle, but it was back and forth, and it always showed the magic that shocked them. The lord of the mansion, the bull-headed Ashura king, Fenglao Rangxi, and even Yuhua were all a little stunned looking at the figure in the sky. It's the blood demon prison. The commander-in-chief. Monster. Yuhua's heart trembled. Is this the top holy spirit battle in the virtual space? In front of such a strong man, she realized how insignificant she was. As for Zhao Jun and Xianyu Patriarch, as well as some disciples of Xianyu sect, Yuli and others, they were once again as hen-faced. The feeling of life and death being controlled made them feel ups and downs. And Sudong's outburst undoubtedly made them despair. In the sky, the confrontation continued. The 8 desolate divine eyes shone endlessly, and the bloody sword shadows slashed down, exuding unparalleled dominance and power. The three-eyed true lord and Sudong looked at each other. Devil prison blood kill? The three-eyed true lord was shocked. He looked at the huge bloody sword shadow that was raging like a bloody storm with burning eyes. In terms of vision, his vision was naturally not low. He recognized the origin of the sword shadow at a glance. The 8 desolate divine eyes pushed him to this level. It cost a lot, and there were many opportunities. However, in terms of power alone, the 10th level of the heavenly sword technique, the demon prison blood kill, was not inferior at all. Even the sword technique, that was good at killing, was still better. In the Daoxuan realm, he has mastered the magical power of the perfect realm, and also mastered the blood killing of the devil prison. The eyes of the three-eyed true lord were full of shock. What a monstrous talent this must be. He was able to push the 8 desolate divine eyes to this level, and it took a long time. However, how long has Sudong been practicing? The Star Silk Thread magical power is amazing enough, and he also mastered the 10th level of the heavenly sword technique. In the Daoxuan realm, mastering the 10th level may not be so surprising, but it is also 1 in a million. Yes, his swordsmanship talent is against the sky, and his swordsmanship should improve faster. The three-eyed true lord sighed. After a brief surprise, the three-eyed true lord looked at Sudong, and then the intention to fight emerged in his eyes. No wonder he dared to be so confident in front of him. Sudong was indeed qualified to be confident in mastering the blood killing of the devil prison. And being able to fight with a strong man who mastered the blood killing of the devil prison can also test the limits of his 8 desolate divine eyes. Although the blood killing of the devil prison is strong, his 8 desolate divine eyes are also not weak. Of course, at this moment, the three-eyed true lord had completely regarded Sudong as a strong opponent, and he even lost the confidence that he could defeat the latter. Sudong activated the devil prison blood kill, and also felt the power of the 8 desolate divine eyes. As one of the strongest Taoist methods in the void, the three-eyed true lord had studied this method deeply. Although the devil prison blood kill was strong enough, it could not be said to be crushing. Sudong, I rarely obey anyone, but now, I'm convinced by you. You have mastered the 10th level of the heavenly sword method in the Deoxuan realm. I admire you. Sudong couldn't help but smile when he heard it. The true Lord's 8 desolate divine eyes are also powerful. Sudong sighed secretly. It's not a commercial mutual praise, it's really powerful. If he hadn't just realized the devil prison blood kill with a blessing, today's battle would probably end with him losing. As for the Deoxuan realm mastering the devil prison blood kill, in terms of the realm of Taoism, he is only at the Deochu realm now. However, with the transformation of divine power, he has already reached the threshold of the Deoxuan realm. It was only after repeated transformations of talent and understanding that he was able to master the devil prison blood kill. After being shocked, he did not say much. Today, let me see whether your devil prison blood kill sword technique is more lethal or my 8 desolate divine eyes Deo technique is better. The three-eyed true lord roared, and then his fingers suddenly pinched the seal. The divine eye light column, which was originally suppressed by the sword light, suddenly shone brightly. Buzz! A majestic divine power burst out from the divine eye again. It violently submerged the blood-colored sword shadow rushing forward. Sudong's face was slightly condensed, not daring to be careless. He also urged the divine power to infuse the sword light. The devil kill divine sword, which was condensed for thousands of feet, suddenly became more brilliant. Go. Bang. The two resisted each other. The sword light and the light column collided, and the golden and silver lights of the 8 desolate divine eyes rotated and entangled, but it was like a millstone. It was seen that the sword shadow was actually worn out in an instant. It was 1,000 feet long and faintly blurred. Sudong's face changed slightly, thinking that the 8 desolate divine eyes Daoism was indeed strange. It was known as one of the strongest Daoism in the void. Although it had the side effect of damaging the primordial spirit, the immortal cultivators who practiced it were still flocking to it, and there were countless of them. The sword technique focuses on bursting out. It is most powerful when it bursts out, and it becomes weaker as time goes by. I can withstand it, and I will win. The eyes of the three-eyed true lord were bright. Boom. With a thought, the 8 desolate divine eyes eyeballs trembled, and suddenly countless golden and silver divine powers gushed out again, rushing towards the blood-colored sword shadow. He wanted to completely wipe out the latter. However, at the moment, when he activated the Daoism, Sudong also exploded again. Ultimate mode. This book was recently updated in Update. Sudong swung the purgatory divine sword in his hand fiercely, and the ultimate mode instantly amplified all power by 100 times, including the power of divine power, the power of divine body, and the power of Daoism. The power of the blood demon prison instantly increased 100-fold. The bloody blade shadow was seen surging with blade light, and the hazy blade shadow extended and grew without limit, as if it was destroying the world. Swish. The intertwined golden and silver light columns were directly torn apart. What? The face of the three-eyed true lord changed drastically. He obviously didn't expect Sudong to have the remaining power to explode. He immediately urged the spell, and the 8 desolate divine eyes were dazzling to the extreme. The 2 golden and silver giant pythons entangled with each other and pushed up. Cut. Sudong roared angrily. After the power was increased 100 times, the power of the blood demon prison was also pushed to the extreme, directly turning into a blood-colored storm. This brilliant and glorious blade finally burst out with the most peak power. Boom. The blade light tore the light column, and the terrible divine power dissipated to form a storm that raged. At this moment, the heaven and earth fell into darkness. Countless lives were terrified. Click. The world was broken. Many ordinary lives, newborn babies, running teenagers, frightened parents. Suddenly the world collapsed, and despair descended. In the darkness, a strange blood-red knife shadow suddenly floated in. This was the most gentle knife light. Under the protection of the knife light, one life after another floated up, and floated into the air. Miracle. The gods have descended. Everyone exclaimed. The void cracked, and the power exploded. Like a tsunami, it exploded quickly and disappeared quickly. At the core of the battle, under the gaze of countless eyes, the light column was like a snake, and under the entanglement, it actually wiped out the extremely terrifying and domineering blood-stained knife shadow, as if it was even better. However, before everyone could be amazed, under the horrified eyes of many people, the 8 desolate divine eyes suspended above the head of the three-eyed true lord suddenly appeared a crack. The crack appeared, and the face of the three-eyed true lord was as pale as paper. The collision between the two obviously caused damage to each other. The blood demon prison is indeed amazing. I've learned a lot. The three-eyed true lord put away the 8 desolate divine eyes, feeling a little distressed. It's not easy to cultivate such a divine art. Sudang stood with a knife in his hand. Then he saw the three-eyed true lord sheathing his sword. The huge green sword light below suddenly dissipated. Wow. The beautiful starry thread floated around Sudang again. Sudang exhaled lightly and clasped his fists towards the three-eyed true lord. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 762, Sudang Demon Lord. Who won? Many eyes in the void were watching closely. They were eager to see the result. This battle was too important. The three-eyed true lord was recognized as the strongest in the void. If Sudang won this battle, then the position of the strongest man in the future would be replaced. Who won? Zhao Shen's eyes were wide open, watching from a distance. Two figures stood opposite each other above. Sudang held the purgatory divine sword, and the beautiful starlight was suspended around him. It seemed that his aura was still calm. The three-eyed true lord was majestic, and seemed to crush the former. Neither of them had any injuries. Didn't you see? The sword shadow dissipated, and the 8 desolate divine eye was still there. The three-eyed true lord had already won. The 8 desolate divine eye has cracks, right? Many powerful people in the void discussed. The three-eyed one. The dragon head of the 5 dragons god lord stared at the bronze mirror. Although the 8 desolate divine eye had cracks, Sudang's demonic prison blood killing directly wiped it out. In terms of power alone, the 8 desolate divine eye is better. The 8 desolate divine eyes are a cultivation type divine art. The more a divine eye is invested, the more terrifying its power is. Sudang's swordsmanship is a technique, and that's the difference. The 8 desolate divine eyes have been nurtured for many years, and they are still better than Sudang's swordsmanship. Big brother Sandian won. Empress King exhaled lightly. She was born as a casual cultivator. Although she did not join the Heavenly Palace, but opened up the 10,000 flower realm on her own, she has a close relationship with the three-eyed true lord. After all, they have been together for a long time, so naturally she doesn't want to see the three-eyed true lord lose. Commander Su is also very powerful. He can fight with the three-eyed true lord to this extent. Many fairies admire him. The strong are respected in the void. Being able to form a Taoist partner with a strong person will have an impact on both cultivation and status. Since ancient times, fairies love strong people. This is the law. Heaven and earth. Sudang and the three-eyed true lord are in the void side by side. Let's go. Let's go. The old Taoist will come to your house in person another day to discuss Taoism with the commander-in-chief. The three-eyed true lord smiled and put the Junlin sword behind his back. Then his divine body flashed and instantly turned into a golden light and left. Sudang watched the true lord leave. Palace master. Let's go. The guardians of the heavenly palace hurriedly followed. In this battle, they had come with great momentum, but now, they could only return in a low profile. That Sudang is really scary. He can actually fight the palace master to this extent. Such a strong man is not someone we can provoke. Long he was ashamed. Brother. Zhao Jun anxiously sent a message to Zhao Shen. Zhao Jun, if you just die, I will find a way to guide you from the 6 reincarnations and help you practice. If you are unlucky, this great commander will destroy your true spirit and your soul will fly away. Zhao Shen responded. I can only burn a stick of incense for you every year in the future. Zhao Jun's face turned pale when he heard this. Reincarnation guide? Burn a stick of incense? Isn't it death anyway? Brother, can't you think of a way? The three-eyed true lord. Zhao Jun was anxious. Shut up. Zhao Shen shouted angrily. You also saw today that for you. The palace master even used the magic of the 8 desolate divine eyes, which consumes the soul. What else do you want? I won't say much, just wish you good luck. Whoosh. Zhao Shen also turned into a golden stream of light and followed the many guardians. Blame. He didn't blame the three-eyed True Lord. Today, the three-eyed True Lord had done his best. He felt guilty. If he had to blame someone, he should blame himself for not being as strong as Sudang. As for the right and wrong, in a nutshell, those who kill will be killed, and Sudang is right about this. The three-eyed True Lord has left. It's over. The void could not calm down for a long time. After the battle, the spies of the Void God Court did not dare to stay any longer. If they continued to spy, it would be disrespectful to Sudang. If they accidentally killed him, the Void God Court would not say anything. Although the projection ended, many strong men still could not calm down for a long time. In this battle, Sudang really shocked the Void. In this battle, he first showed off his powerful magical power of the Star Silk Thread, and then showed off his swordsmanship of the Demon Prison Blood Kill. In addition to his own more impressive divine body and body skills, there is no doubt that Sudang has already ranked among the top powerhouses in the Void, even just below the three-eyed True Lord. He is also superior to the Five Dragons Divine Lord. In the future, it's time to change the title to the Grand Commander. I still can't forget that sword, the Demon Prison Blood Kill. Yes, such a strong man is worthy of our respect. In the Void, the Lord of Jiuhua Mountain and many holy spirits, all of them are recognized. The strong are respected. In the past, Sudang was famous for his outstanding status as the Grand Commander of the Dao Mansion. Although he fought with the Five Dragons Divine Lord, he was only comparable. But now, he became famous in one battle. Reputation is earned through fighting. Whether it is the three-eyed True Lord or the Five Dragons Divine Lord, these are all reputations earned by their own strength. Recognized, the most widely spread. This book was recently updated on #@. Update. The Grand Commander is an official position of Huan Quan Daofu, not a title. Just call Sudang the Demon Lord. Yes, True Lord, Divine Lord, none of them are suitable. How terrifying is the Demon Prison Blood Killing Sword technique? Calling him the Demon Lord is the most appropriate. The three-eyed True Lord and the Five Dragon Divine Lord, using the words true and divine is not suitable. It is disrespectful to Sudang and the other two strong men, and it is easy to cause resentment. In terms of titles, there are many cultivators who call themselves gods and saints, but it is recognized that they are different, and recognized as a symbol and status. From then on, Sudang the Demon Lord, representing Huan Quan Daofu, is also one of the peak strong men in the Middle Ages. Respected by the Void Holy Spirit. The outside world is in turmoil. In the heaven and earth. Sudang floated between heaven and earth, watching the three-eyed True Lord and others leave. I can still perform the ultimate mode once, and the power of the sword technique is not much different, but his 8 desolate divine eye has cracks. The power should be greatly reduced. Sudang thought to himself. The cultivation type divine arts can be improved with the continuous cultivation over a long period of time. They are superior to the technical type, and are more convenient to activate, similar to magic weapons. But there is also a flaw, that is, once broken, the power will drop sharply. Techniques are different. The power of techniques may even burst out new power the closer to life and death. But we have to admit that the 8 desolate divine eye was more powerful in the first collision. But there is no need to push it to the limit regardless of life and death. Sudang also knows how to restrain himself. It is not easy to defeat a strong man like the three-eyed True Lord, and it is even more difficult to kill him. Who knows how many trump cards he has? Swish. He waved his hand, and the Holy Spirit law spread out, and the cracks and shatters in the heavenly stems and the earth were all repaired. For the Holy Spirit, the small world is indeed too fragile. I used to be alive in a small world, but now the world can destroy me with a wave of its hand. Sudang sighed, and he dispersed the knife light that protected countless lives. Every life has infinite possibilities. Then he fell to the ground. Grand Commander. Many Shura kings saluted respectfully, and each of them showed respect. Grand Commander, after today's battle, those guys in the Heavenly Palace will have to be much more low-key in the future. Haha. Many cultivator kings laughed and were very happy. In the past, the Heavenly Palace relied on the three-eyed True Lord, the first cultivator in the void, and acted eccentrically. They sometimes suffered from it. Now that Sudong has risen, they are naturally tough, and the Heavenly Palace has restrained a lot. Sudong nodded. It was just a face dispute, and he didn't take it too seriously. He would be happy if he killed some big demons or purgatory lives. Sudong. Feng Lao Rongzi looked at Sudong, and her eyes also had a strange look. She watched Sudong go from a weak person to where he is now. Naturally, the emotions are stronger. I said, it's okay if the three-eyed true lord comes. Sudong smiled, and then looked at Zhao Jun, Xianyu Patriarch and others who were trembling in fear in the distance. Feng Lao, you have the final say on how to deal with them. Feng Lao Rongzi also looked over. The old demon Xianyu must be killed, she said. Xianyu Patriarch, who was kneeling in the distance, shuddered suddenly. The end of this volume. P.S. A volume of 57 chapters, from the beginning to now. Danki also thinks that she has tried her best to write a plot from bland to exciting. Whether you are satisfied or not is up to you. In addition, I have to ask quietly, 3 more chapters are sent. Is Danki qualified to ask for monthly tickets and recommendation tickets? Oh, the next volume will start tomorrow. Chapter 763 Prison. You're going to kill me. Xianyu old demon's face turned pale. He looked up at Feng Lao Rongzi. Then he looked at Sudong standing next to him. The great commander of the Azura King who guarded the void in Huangquan Daofu actually stood up for the latter. Didn't it just for a small world of mortals? It has come to this point today, isn't it just a world of mortals? Xianyu old demon regretted it very much. In fact, it was because he saw Feng Lao Rongzi, a divine emperor, showing many magical artifacts, that he was greedy for a while and finally chased him all the way here. Who would have thought that he would end up in this situation? Fate makes people play tricks, karma pays. Okay. Sudong nodded. But, a cold knife light condensed out of thin air. Wait, I have something to say. Xianyu old demon hurriedly said, I'm the Holy Spirit Void Ancestor, with extraordinary strength. I'm willing to recognize the Commander-in-Chief as my master from now on, and be my slave. Puff. Unfortunately, the bright knife light did not hesitate at all, and instantly penetrated the space, and passed through Xianyu old demon's body. The old demon Xianyu's eyes went dark, and then he fell to the ground. A Dao containing the essence of the origin of death easily destroyed his soul and shattered his spirit. It was not easy for ordinary strong men to kill a holy spirit, but for a strong man like Sudong, killing a holy spirit was like killing a chicken. Dead. Zhao Jun looked at him blankly. Shattered his spirit? Really shattered his spirit? As for the many disciples of Xianyu sect, they were already pale with fear, and some even muttered and cursed the old demon Xianyu in a low voice. This Liu Santong has repeatedly hunted down our master and apprentice, and his methods are even more despicable. Feng Larong's face was cold. She pointed casually, and 3 rays of divine light suddenly burst out from her jade-like fingertips. The divine light sank into the foreheads of Liu Santong and several other disciples, and their souls also shattered. As for this Zhao Jun, Feng Lao Rongzi looked at Zhao Jun. Did I provoke you in the beginning, so that you attacked me directly and chased me all the way here? I only attacked on behalf of Xianyu old demon, and I don't know anything else. If I had known that the fairy had the protection of the Commander-in-Chief behind her, I would not have dared to attack her, even if I had 10,000 guts. Zhao Jun tried to force out a smile. He looked at Feng Lao Rongzi eagerly, and also looked at Sudong with pleading eyes, hoping that Sudong would be soft-hearted and spare his life. Attack me without any hatred or resentment. Feng Lao Rongzi also shot out a finger of light. Bang, the finger of light bounced to a place about 10 feet around Zhao Jun, and a green light emerged, directly blocking the finger of light. Zhao Jun's face changed slightly, and he looked at Feng Lao Rongzi fiercely. It seemed that the latter had made up his mind to kill him. Bitch, I only regret that I didn't kill you when I attacked you. Sudong frowned. He raised his hand and waved it. A ray of knife light instantly passed through Zhao Jun's body and also passed through the green light. Zhao Jun cried out in surprise and then fell to the side. All life was gone. The rest of the people in the Xianyu sect will be arrested and investigated. Those with serious sins will be killed. Those with less sins will be forced to collect spiritual crystals and spiritual objects for the Dao mansion for 1,000 years. Those without sins will be released directly, Sudong said. The lord of the mansion next to him stepped forward, and a big hand fell. The disciples of the Shianayu sect scattered all over the heaven and earth instantly flew up involuntarily, all turned into the size of ants, and fell into the sleeves of the lord of the mansion. In the end, there was only one person kneeling on the ground. Master. Yuli looked up at Feng Lao Rongzi, her face full of tears. Feng Lao Rongzi didn't even look at her. Yuhua looked coldly at this former junior sister. If I had known this would happen, why did I do it in the first place? Yuli crouched and dared not say anything more. Sudong, thank you so much this time. Feng Lao Rongzi bowed to Sudong again. Sudong couldn't help but smile. You and I are talking about these things. We have become holy spirits. What are your plans for the future? Walking in the void, I found a secret of the void. If I spend some effort, I may gain a lot. Feng Lao Rongzi transmitted the message. Traveling in the void and exploring the secret realm is indeed interesting. If you have any trouble, you can send a message to me. Don't force yourself. Sudong reminded. Oh. Feng Lao Rongzi nodded. Let's go. Sudong immediately left with Fujun, Niu Tao Shuriking, and other Shurikings. Master, Zhao Jun and Shianayu old demon left behind many treasures. Yuhua said. Those are treasures at the level of holy spirits. Feng Lao Rongzi nodded. But his eyes were watching Sudong and his party disappear into the horizon. Master, this great commander is so good to you. He is so kind to Master. Yuhua couldn't help but smile. Master was in trouble, and helped like this. Would the great commander have feelings for Master? This book has been updated recently in .. Update. You should know that Feng Lao Rongzi's demeanor is enough to make countless holy spirits fall for him. Stop talking nonsense. Feng Lao Rongzi glared. Yuhua quickly stuck out her tongue and said no more. But secretly looking at her master's appearance, the latter had been looking at the sky until the figure of Commander Sudong completely disappeared, and he never bowed his head even when he died. When it comes to the majesty of the commander, he is willing to bow his head. Anyone who is not a fool can see the master's appearance and know that the master also likes the commander in his heart. However, the master's affairs are not something she, as a disciple, can interfere with. In the void of the Middle Ages, in a rich little world. In the rich little world, there are countless kinds of life, including immortals and monsters. A short figure sat on a small hill. A Shuriking who has practiced for only 1,000 years can actually fight the three-eyed true lord to a draw. The short figure was wearing purple armor, with a face like a boy, and a dangerous light flashing in his eyes. The means of cultivating strong people in Huangquandeofu are indeed terrible. In the Buzhao mountain lineage alone, there was first the Lord King of Pan's Hang Mountain, and then the Shuriking of Yanluo Palace, and now there is another Sudong. Report it, this Sudong is too evil. If we let him grow up, he will be a great enemy of our prison clan in the future. The purple-clothed boy took out a talisman and reported the shadow of the battle between Sudong and the three-eyed true lord. After that, it silently opened its mouth. The mouth became bigger and bigger, more and more ferocious, and then the huge mouth released a strange swallowing force, and countless lives in the world flew into it involuntarily. Whether it was a monster or a human, they were all swallowed up in an instant. Swoosh. After swallowing, the purple-clothed boy's mouth returned to its size, swallowing a day's worth of life, and his stomach didn't swell at all. Then he sat on the top of the mountain silently and closed his eyes. But this piece of heaven and earth fell into complete silence. There was no living being. About half a month passed. The purple-clothed boy opened his eyes. But the command talisman on his waist trembled. True lord. The purple-clothed boy respectfully picked up the command talisman. The true lord of the wine demon has gone to the middle ancient void to kill Sudong. A cold voice sounded from the command talisman. The true lord of the wine demon is extremely powerful, even better than the three-eyed true lord. It is easy to kill Sudong, but he cannot be killed in the Shura world. He must be lured out. The purple-clothed boy said. Well, the great catastrophe of the void is coming. This catastrophe is an opportunity for my purgatory clan. Only by seizing the void can we stabilize our foundation. The environment in the lower void is too harsh and not suitable for our clan to survive. Ling Fu continued in a cold voice. This Sudong, you must plan carefully and don't let him grow. More importantly, it is the prison ancestor heart. I have found out that Huang Quandaofu does not know that Heisheng is dead. This Heisheng should have died at the hands of others. Finding the prison ancestor heart is the top priority. Yes. The purple-clothed boy nodded. Immediately cut off the communication. Chapter 764 Yin Yang Water and Fire Beads. In the void of the Middle Ages, in the Heavenly Palace, a holy place for scattered cultivators. In a palace, the three-eyed true lord sat cross-legged, with an eyeball suspended 3 feet above his head. The eyeball was extremely domineering, and emitted a blazing divine light. It was the 8 desolate divine eye. However, at this moment, there was a slight crack on the divine eye. The existence of the crack made the 8 desolate divine eye less powerful. A stream of golden and silver divine power surrounded it, and the divine light was dense. The vast divine power continued to gather on the divine eye, and then all penetrated into the crack. As the divine power made up for it, the crack was finally repaired at an extremely fast speed. Wow. A golden seal in the palace suddenly shook, and a wave of fluctuations was transmitted. Then the golden seal shone brightly, and then a hunched figure appeared out of thin air. The figure was wearing a yellow robe with plum blossom patterns embroidered on the back of the robe. 3 eyes. The figure spoke. Huang Mei. The three-eyed true lord opened his eyes, and looked at the figure. I was recovering my spirit before, so I didn't watch you fight with Sudong. Is Sudong that powerful? Yes. He is very powerful. His swordsmanship is of a very high level, and the power of the demon prison blood killer is not inferior to my 8 desolate divine eyes. The three-eyed true lord had a cold look in his eyes, but his swordsmanship alone is not enough to be feared. The most peculiar thing is his star silk thread magical power. With that magical power, my swordsmanship can be restrained to the extreme. Oh, let me see. The yellow-robed figure said. It's this star silk thread. The three-eyed true lord's eyes flashed. A picture appeared out of thin air, with dots of starlight lingering, forming a beautiful star silk thread. Intertwined and crisscrossed each other, easily blocked as Junlin's sword. The yellow-robed figure looked over. Messy green hair. The yellow-robed figure raised his eyebrows. Brother Huang Mei, do you know this magic? The three-eyed true lord asked. Well, this magical power has great attainments in space. In your words, it is a Taoist magical power at the level of perfection. But how could it appear in your level of the void? And let the Sudong learn it. The yellow-robed figure frowned. The three-eyed true lord was also slightly surprised. This yellow-robed Taoist brother has an extraordinary origin. He can achieve what he has now, and the latter has helped him a lot. Is there a solution? Haha, did you see those silk threads? The silk threads are entangled and knotted with each other. When your space avenue can reach the perfection level, you can naturally solve this mess of black hair. Or, if your 8 desolate divine eyes can go one step further and reach the limit of the perfection level, you can also solve it by breaking the law with force. The yellow-robed figure smiled. Although the mess of black hair is famous, it is very superficial and not so unsolvable. It is just used as a test method. The three-eyed true lord did not speak. Space Avenue? He is a million miles away from the perfection level, and it is also quite difficult to increase the power of the 8 desolate divine eyes to the limit of the perfection level. The limit of perfection is the level of the 10 palaces shuriken. He is only at the initial stage of the Dao, but he can display the messy green hair. This Sudong is indeed difficult to deal with. The yellow-robed figure nodded. The magic skills are difficult to deal with, and the divine body is terrifying. The body skills are not weak, and the swordsmanship is strong, which has created Sudong's reputation in the void. Anyone who wants to provoke this demon king must weigh it. Moreover, as the shuriken, Sudong is also full of murderous intent. Zhao Jun was killed directly, just because he offended Sudong's best friend. He didn't even give face to the three-eyed true lord. How murderous he is. Naturally, everyone is in awe. In just half a month, Sudong received many invitations and gifts from many forces and strong men, including gifts from big men like the 5-dragon god. The strong are respected, and the strength is tyrannical, and the status is also rising. In the Shura world, the largest commander's palace, Sudong flipped his hand and took out the green bamboo joint, and then put the bamboo joint into the Dao Order talisman. I've waited so long. It's time to claim my reward. Killing Heisheng, in addition to a large number of Huangquan Dao fruits, also gave him a heritage artifact. But Huangquan Daofu's talisman communicated with Huangquan. It easily authenticated the green bamboo joint in Sudong's hand, which was Heisheng's magic weapon. For a cultivator, magic weapons and artifacts are connected to life. If magic weapons and artifacts are lost or destroyed, life is likely to be lost. Heisheng's body was not left behind, and his star power exploded, and it was all blasted into slag. Authentication of a magic weapon is enough. Daofu will not be too strict. It only took a moment. Sudong's mind moved, and his divine body entered the Huangquan space in the talisman. Huangquan airflow floated, and a hazy shadow appeared in the space. Sudong, Shuriking, killed Heisheng, and protected the majesty of my Daofu. I have specially granted you 50,000 reincarnation Dao fruits, a heritage artifact, and a yin-yang water and fire bead. A storage bag floated over. Sudong reached out to take it. Then the hazy shadow dissipated. Opening the storage bag, 50,000 reincarnation fruits were placed there, as well as a bead the size of a human head. Yin-yang water and fire bead. Sudong took out the bead. It was half cold and half warm. Yin and yang alternated. Red and blue were compatible, and the two-color light was reflected, which was quite magical. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. With a slight thought, Sudong directly recognized the master, and suddenly the many wonderful uses of the yin-yang water and fire bead came to his mind. Yin-yang water and fire bead can form water and fire true ki, which can protect the body and kill the enemy. It is best at killing the enemy. Combined with other inherited yin-yang artifacts, the power of Taoism can be increased by 26 times. This treasure. Sudong's mind moved, and the yin-yang water and fire bead immediately floated above his head. Then a blue water vapor and a red fire vapor surrounded and floated, forming two water and fire real dragons out of thin air, floating and emitting layers of power. Try how powerful this water and fire true ki is. Wow. A figure appeared on the side, and the figure was extremely tall. The body was surrounded by a majestic divine light of black and gold. Boom. The water and fire dragon rushed over directly, and the great power directly impacted the five-colored stone clone. The five-colored stone clone, the black mountain flowing wave divine body, swayed, and layers of power immediately dissipated. The power is about level 6. Sudong was silent. In terms of power, it is not strong, but this method is inherent in the artifact, and it is not difficult to activate it. When facing the enemy, it can also affect the opponent. Average. The effect of this inherited artifact can only be said to be average, at least not as good as the inherited artifact of the body protection divine lotus. But, suddenly, the talisman trembled. Sudong was surprised. King Yama sent a message? He quickly responded. Your subordinate greets His Majesty King Yama. Haha, I just received news that Heisheng died in your hands. The voice of King Shura of Yama Palace came, and he laughed directly. Yes. Sudong nodded. Does the Sea Saint have any hidden tricks? Although the intelligence from the Dao Palace only speculates that he is only at the level of the 10-crown Shuriking, he dared to kill like that, and he also escaped all the way, avoiding detection again and again. He must have some good tricks. Sudong blinked. Yes. This Sea Saint has some trump cards. He has 2 epic artifacts, and is quite difficult to deal with. Sudong said. Yes. 2 epic artifacts are indeed a great opportunity. You can kill him. It seems that your strength has improved again. The Shuriking of Yama Palace smiled. Sudong, do you feel any difference in guarding the void during this period of time? Yes. Sudong nodded honestly. Practicing in the void is slower. Besides practicing, I heard that Lord Sudong, with the Devil Prison blood killing sword technique in one hand and the magical power in the other, fought against the three-eyed casual cultivator to a draw. Haha, he is very proud. The Shuriking of Yama Palace teased. Chapter 765. Breaking into the ranking again. Sudong smiled. I was lucky to break through, so I'm not ashamed. You are too modest. Your star thread shocked the Dao Palace, and even surprised me. The Dao of the perfect realm is enough to travel through the void. The Shuriking of the Yama Palace laughed. The Dao is endless, and requires too much talent. It depends on oneself to master it. But modesty is a good thing. Only modesty can make you cautious. After all, guarding in the void is different from being in the Deo Palace. In the Deo Palace, the competition is upright, and the Deo is tested. It is different outside. Outside, everyone has a trump card. The weak defeat the strong, and the strong capsize in the gutter. It happens almost every day. The shuriken of the Yama Palace became serious. Sudong nodded. At this time, he understood why the shuriken of the Yama Palace sent him a message. The latter was afraid that he would be proud and complacent after a little achievement and capsize in the gutter. He deliberately reminded himself. Sudong felt warm in his heart and listened carefully. Thoughts swirled in his mind. It is indeed different. Thinking back to when I was guarding the void, I fought again and again. The 5 dragon gods were as powerful as me, and the JWO Bodhisattva was unfathomable. A sea saint had his trump card revealed. When it came to the three-eyed true lord, it was even more difficult to catch a glimmer of victory. During the Deo Mansion competition, he experienced hundreds of battles, but they were all quick and decisive, and the winner could be decided in a flash. And what about the void? Everyone has a trump card. Every battle was terrifying. Be careful, no matter when. Being careful can make the boat last for 1,000 years. Sudong, you are the best seedling with the best talent I have ever seen. Grow up well, and your future achievements are limitless. The Azure King of the Yama Palace warned. The biggest enemy of our void is not other cultivators, but purgatory. Purgatory will never be willing to watch the genius of the void grow. The catastrophe is coming. Once the catastrophe comes, the void will be rearranged. It is our opportunity, but also a disaster. By then, the Deo Mansion will not be able to protect us. Everything depends on ourselves. Sudong was shocked. Great calamity? The void is rearranged? These are all secrets he has never heard of. Want to know? Go to the ranking battle, become the 19 crown shuriken, and you will know everything. The shuriken of the Yama Palace smiled. Yes. Sudong was silent. Cut off the communication. Sudong sat silently in the palace of the great commander. The shuriken of the Yama Palace did not ask me why I mastered the star thread. Yes, the void is vast and mysterious, and there are countless opportunities. I have a special opportunity to master the Taoism of the perfect realm, which surprised the strong, but it was just surprise. The Taoism of the perfect realm is to fully master the level of the Yama sword. Those who are familiar with him know that he is gifted in time and space and swordsmanship. Swordsmanship breakthrough. Mastered the 10th level of the heavenly outer heaven swordsmanship, the demon prison blood kill. Not far from the perfect realm. The 11th and 12th levels of the heavenly outer heaven. One is the threshold of the perfect realm, and the other is the peak of the perfect realm. One step difference. Unknowingly, his strength is actually close to the 10 palaces shuriken. Fortunately it is the star thread. If my star power exploded to the power of the perfect realm, it would be hard to explain. Sudong thought secretly. He had a breakthrough in Taoism, and mastered the star thread. Everyone knew that he was gifted. It was understandable despite being surprised. One could only admire his talent, which was rare in a million years. Once the star power appeared, it would break the sky and break the order. It would be difficult to explain. But as long as my strength improves and reaches the level of the shuriken of Yama Palace, I will have a foundation. There are countless opportunities in the void, and there are always some adventures that can create legends. Like Heisheng, didn't he get the inheritance of the King Feng Divine Lord? The great calamity that the shuriken of Yama Palace said. I will know it when I become the 19 crown shuriken. The 19 crown shuriken is a strong man standing at the top of the void in the endless era, and he is indeed qualified to know some secrets of the void. Sudong shook his head. The higher the status, the wider the knowledge. In fact, as his strength improves, the void in front of him became clearer and clearer, and many things that he had not dared to imagine in the past gradually emerged. No matter how the environment changes, I'm strong enough to face all dangers. I have a star system, so I'm qualified to rise. From this day on, Sudong spent most of his time practicing Taoism and swordsmanship. The transformation of his innate understanding also allowed him to improve his practice speed rapidly. In addition to the practice method, he burned the Tao essence. The 3 divine bodies burned the Tao essence, which rapidly improved the efficiency of lighting the stars. Although the lighting speed of the ninth star was slow, it was still increasing under this kind of slow work. In a blink of an eye, another 3 years passed. Too slow. It's so slow. My 3 divine bodies burned a Tau essence, and the speed of lighting the stars is so slow. On this day, Sudong walked out of the Great Commander Palace and looked at the dark red sky outside. The goddess Mingjing beside him did not dare to disturb him. To light up the stars, the later the time is, the more Dao essence you need to burn. The efficiency is also slower. It will take 200 years for the 3 great divine bodies to burn Dao essence to light up the 9th star. Sudong shook his head. 200 years. Perhaps it was just a blink of an eye for the Holy Spirit, but for Sudong, how long had he practiced in total? 200 years. Can't wait. It's time to go out. This book was recently updated in #at. Update. Wow. With a flip of his palm, a piece of ordinary paper appeared on his palm. On the paper, lines were drawn with divine power, and in the center, a terrifying thunder was reflected. Wendao Palace. 9 Tribulations Divine Thunder. Sudong's finger slid slowly on the paper. Wendao Palace is a top secret place that ranks among the top 5 in the 3000 Eras Void. It is said that even the Xianqi Rinsheng Emperor dare not trespass in the core. The Emperor dare not trespass. However, there are many top masters from the 3000 Eras of the Void, including the leaders of various parties in the Yellow Spring Dao Palace, the top Bodhisattvas and Buddhas in the Eternal Buddha Realm, the top Whole Masters in the Void God Court, and the Masters of the Purgatory Clan. It is even said that in the past 100 years, there have been powerful masters who specialize in the divine system entering the place. They should be the ultimate king body masters from the 2 worlds. The masters from various parties gathered here, not for anything else, but for the many treasures and inheritances left in the Dao Palace. It is impossible to trace when the Dao Palace came from. It seems to have fallen from the sky and appeared directly. It is only known that there are treasures that can reach the Emperor Realm in the core. I don't know where the Sea Saint Liumi got a treasure map of the Dao Palace, which records the location of the 9 Tribulations Divine Thunder. The 9 Tribulations Divine Thunder is not the divine thunder of the immortals who cross the tribulation, but a fragment of the fusion Dao peeled off by the heavenly Dao. It ranks 41st in the record of the fusion Dao chapter. That Liumi also condensed the Dao God pill, so he naturally longed to obtain the Dao Rang fragment, to sacrifice the Dao God pill. This picture is 80% credible. Sudong said silently. With this 9 Tribulations Divine Thunder, my efficiency in refining the Dao God pill has greatly increased. It should be possible to light up the 9th star in a short time. Although there are dangers, the Dao Palace itself is also full of dangers. But then Sudong smiled. Fortune and wealth are risky. For this Dao Rang fragment, it is worth taking some risks. Before going, let's go through the ranking battle first. Sudong looked at the dark red sky. Regarding the many information about the Dao Palace, he was not qualified to inquire at the level of the 5 Crowns Shuriking. Now his level is indeed too low, and it is time to go through the ranking battle. That night, Sudong entered the Huanquan space. On the same ranking interface, on the Shuriking list, he ranked first, and the Shuriking of the Yama Palace was hanging high at the top. The top 10 are all at the level of the 10 Palaces Shurikings. Even if they are not, their strength is sufficient. Sudong glanced at the list, and his heart trembled for each name or title. It's the 3rd update again. Even if Danqi is a bit weak, he has to be thick-skinned and ask for recommendation votes and monthly votes. Danqi doesn't dare to say a word for the 2nd update. Chapter 766. Charge, charge, charge. The ranking of Shurikings is much more valuable than the ranking of kings. They are not even on the same level. Each of those who can be ranked in the ranking of Shurikings is a terrifying master with high Taoism. The one who has long dominated the top of the list is the Shuriking of Yama Palace. For so long, I have received many instructions from the Shuriking of Yama Palace, but I have never seen the Shuriking of Yama Palace take action. Sudong couldn't help but smile. The Yama sword is pushed to the extreme, which is also an absolute perfect state of Taoism, and it is a Taoism that is good at attacking. The power can be imagined. Although I have never seen the King of Yama take action, it is terrifying to be ranked first in the ranking of combat power. Looking down, the Shuriking of Changjiang Palace, the Shuriking of Bianji Palace, the Shuriking of Blood Killing. There are also the Shurikings of 19 crowns who are not the Shurikings of the 10 palaces, and their strength is also terrifying. My current strength is still far from being on this list. The top 10 in the battle power list represent the ultimate under the domination realm. Sudong believes that, even if he bursts out the star power, he can only be comparable to the perfect realm. It is still far from the limit. However, he has only been practicing for a short time, so there is no need to look too far ahead. Just take it slowly. After the Daofu competition, many Shurikings who suppressed their ranks at the 5 crowns are no longer suppressed, and all of them have entered the rankings. Lin Yu is the 11 crown Shuriking. Beifan, Liu Tong are also 10 crown Shurikings. Sudong checked his many friends and immediately found that among these friends, he was the lowest. Even the Silver Blade Shuriking broke through to the 9 crown Shuriking level. Although the Thunderfire Shuriking fell behind before, once the opportunity came, he not only got the beauty after entering Buzhao Mountain, but his strength also skyrocketed. Now he is also rushing very fast and is also a 10 crown Shuriking. The kings who entered Buzhao Mountain together at the beginning have now grown into local tyrants. Go ahead and see what rank I can get this time. Sudong smiled, stopped watching, and started to choose the ranking battle directly. Whoosh. In the yellow spring space, the yellow spring was floating as usual, and the rich yellow spring breath rose. A space vortex appeared out of thin air in the air. Sudong took a step and his figure sank into the space vortex. I haven't entered the ranking battle for many years. Let's go for it this time. Buzhao Mountain, in a quiet cave in the Shanhei Peak. The Shuriking, wearing a Taoist robe and with a handsome face, silently held the Taoist mansion token. Last time I lost in the ranking, I lost because of my body skills. This time I have prepared for a long time, and my body skills have improved. No one can stop me. The Shuriking was full of confidence. If I go one step further, there will be a large number of reincarnation Dao fruit rewards. Then he can exchange for many treasures. Whoosh, enter the yellow spring space, the ranking battle, and the match is successful. Let's see which unlucky guy it is. The handsome Shuriking was full of confidence. In fact, it has been 1,000 years since he entered Buzhao Mountain. Compared with many geniuses, his talent can only be considered ordinary. It is indeed ordinary. The selection of Huanquan Road will be opened every 3,000 years. A large number of geniuses will enter Huanquan Daofu. Under the competition deliberately arranged by Daofu, the strong will rise, and the weak will fall. Those who progress a little slower will naturally be suppressed miserably. Like the kings who came in at the beginning, Sudong is the most evil one now, followed by Lin Yu, Beifan, Liu Tong, and then many of them gradually disappeared. Of course, Sudong is not keen on breaking into the ranking battle, and his rank is pitifully low. As for other Shurikings, there are many Shurikings ranked in the 5th and 6th crowns. It is not that they are deliberately suppressed, but they can't rush up because the competition is too fierce. Sudong stood on the ring of the Huanquan space ranking battle. The ranking battle of the 5 crown Shuriking is still a good match for the opponent. He silently looked at the Huanquan waves floating around the ring, waiting for the opponent to arrive. Whoosh, a stream of light flashed in the distance. The handsome Shuriking appeared on the other side of the ring. My friend, make your move. If I make my move, you won't stand a chance. The handsome Shuriking laughed wildly. He was full of confidence and spoke before he could see his opponent clearly. Then he looked at the opponent carefully. This look, the smile on his face rose. The figure opposite was wearing a white robe, which was condensed by divine power. His face was cold and his eyes were even colder. Just looking at him made him feel like his divine body was falling into an ice cellar. It was like being stared at by a terrifying beast, extremely cold. Sudong Shuriking, the handsome Shuriking, was stunned for a moment. Sudong was in the limelight in the Daofu competition. From Shuriking to king, who didn't know him on Buzhao Mountain? How could he be matched with this person? Sudong smiled. This opponent was arrogant enough, but it also fits the atmosphere of the ranking battle. Usually, those who are a little confident will provoke the opponent and say some harsh words. Whoosh. Sudong's figure flashed. The handsome Shuriken on the opposite side only saw a blur in front of him, and then it went black. When he opened his eyes again, the surrounding scene had changed. He was already in his own independent talisman space. Lost just like that. He was speechless. He didn't even see what happened, and he lost. I also said that he would take action. If I take action, he would have no chance. Indeed, there was no chance, but it was a pity that he had no chance. Break into the ranking battle? Sudang's rank changed. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. At the moment, when Sudang won the first ranking battle, his rank was raised by 1 crown, becoming the 6th crown Shuriken. Many friends who followed his rank, even the Shuriken of Yama Palace, the Shuriken of Byanji Palace, all paid attention to him at the first time. Breaking into the ranking, it can clearly see the level of a Shuriken in the real world. Starting to break into the ranking, Linryu Shuriken sat in the cave. A smile appeared on his handsome face. I should have made a breakthrough a long time ago. I'm stuck at the level of the 5 crown Shuriken. What a shame. Let me see if my progress during this period has shortened the gap with you. Linryu has the bloodline of the great light god Killin. He is extremely talented. How can he be willing to lag behind others? He surpassed Liu Tong and Beifan, and was just short of surpassing Sudang. But Sudang has not made a breakthrough since he left Buzhao Mountain and guarded the void. He doesn't know how strong Sudang is now. Sudang made a breakthrough in the ranking battle. A hazy void. Beifan Shuriken, who was also patrolling in the void, instantly paid attention to him. With his status and strength, he is not qualified to be a leader. In the Daofu competition, Sudang showed the strength of the 10 crown Shuriken. He is much better than me, and he should be stronger now. He is only the 10 crown Shuriken now. Sudang is stronger. How strong will he be? Many Shurikens are paying attention. Yana Luo, how strong is Sudang now? Fihong Shuriken sent a message to Yan Luo Hall Shuriken. Because he had instructed Sudang, Fihong Shuriken was also quite concerned about Sudang. It's no problem to pass the 15th crown. Yan Luo Hall Shuriken responded. 15 crowns? Fihong Shuriken didn't believe it. You are so optimistic about him. The 15th crown Shuriken is far beyond the level of the general commander who guards the void. Just watch. One after another, attention was focused on Sudang's rank change. From the beginning of 6 crowns, he climbed all the way to 7 crowns, 8 crowns, 10 crowns, 11 crowns, 12 crowns. Easily. So fast, so fast. The same practice, the gap is really big. Linryu, Beifan, Liu Tong and others could only sigh silently. It was obvious that Sudang easily surpassed them. And in this fast rush, soon, Sudang rushed to the 15th crown. Chapter 767 16 crowns. It's really the 15th crown. Fihong Shuriken was silent. And he rushed so fast. It was obviously not Sudang's limit. 15 crowns. The realm of Taoism is the top of the Daoxuan realm, and the Taoism mastered is also extraordinary. Sudang stood in the Huangquan space. The 14 crown Shuriken he just defeated was almost as good as him in divine body, but his body movement was slower, so he was killed by him with one sword. It's a bit interesting. Sudang smiled. Whoosh. A middle-aged Shuriken appeared on the ring. Sudang. The Shuriken greeted him, and Sudang also clasped his fists. Then the latter took action. The 15 crown Shuriken used Taoism, and hazy light and shadow appeared on the ring. Each light and shadow was extremely fast, rumbling and directly crushing towards Sudang. Unable to dodge, Sudang could only use the chaotic green hair magic to resist. The beautiful starlight condensed into silk, floating and covering the past, and the opponent's Taoism was instantly chaotic, and then the knife light flashed. Shura 3 styles, chaos. By the time the opponent had reacted, he had already been pierced by a sword. Sudang won. 16 crowns. He has reached 16 crowns. Monster. The Shurikens who were paying attention to Sudang's rank roared one by one, and Pingshan Shuriken, who was also silently paying attention to the changes in his rank, looked even uglier. When I intercepted him outside the void in the Middle Ages, his strength was extraordinary, but it was only about 13 crowns. How long has it been? 16 crowns Shuriken? Too scary. The gap is too big. It's okay to make fast progress in Buzzhow Mountain, but how can he make faster progress by guarding the void? This Sudang must have had some adventure. And it's a super adventure. Without an adventure, his strength improved so fast. Who would believe it? Yan Luo, Sudang has become a 16 crown Shuriking. Is this true? The 6 Tiger Shurikings couldn't help but send a message. Yes, he just reached the 16 crown Shuriking. The Shuriking of Yan Luo Hall nodded. The little guy back then has become a 16 crown Shuriking in the blink of an eye. How long has he been practicing? The 6 Tiger Shuriking sighed. The Shuriking of Yamahall also sighed. Mastering the perfect realm of Taoism, Sudang is destined to rush very high. But after the 16th crown, it will be difficult. 17th crown, 18th crown, 19th crown. One step at a time. The perfect realm of Taoism can only be taken advantage of by the 16th crown Shuriking. Holy Lord Huanquin, I request to watch Sudang's ranking battle. I also request. The controller of Huanquin is the Holy Lord Huanquin, and everything in Huanquin space is decided by the latter. One by one, the Shurikings made requests. Of course, only the 19th Crown Shuriking, the 10th Hall Shuriking, and the Master King have the opportunity to contact the Holy Lord Huanquin directly. Approved. The Holy Lord Huanquin approved. In the endless darkness, the Master King of Pan's Hang Mountain looked ahead silently. A picture was reflected in front of him, and the picture was the scene in Huanquin space. With his status, the Holy Lord Huanquin could allow him to use part of the authority of Huanquin space. If he wanted to watch a junior, he didn't need to send a message at all. Master Wang also looked at it. The little guy who had personally taken the palace examination at the beginning has now become the 16th Crown Shuriking. In fact, Sudang was able to win the first place in the Dao Mansion competition. Master Wang liked Sudang very much. Seeing the latter rise so quickly, he was naturally very pleased. In the ranking battle space, Sudang stood above the ring, surrounded by the hazy starlight, looking at the opponent who appeared in front of him. A white robe, an ice sword, the mighty Holy Spirit law spread, and the yellow spring waves surging downwind were frozen into ice slag. This figure also looked at Sudang, and said in a low voice, "Sudang, do you know me? Ice Demon Shuriking." Sudang said lightly, but there was solemnity in his eyes. "If you know me, you should know that you will lose this battle." The Ice Demon Shuriking said coldly, "My swordsmanship has already reached the perfect state, and my body skills are also close to the perfect state. There is only one step difference in realm. What can you use to beat me?" This is arrogant and arrogant enough. But Sudang couldn't help but nod. Ice Demon, a top Shuriking in Buzzhow Mountain in the past 10,000 years, whose talent is not inferior to his. It has a special origin. It is a life brought back from the endless ice domain by a Dao Mansion Lord. Later, it was trained as a disciple and taught carefully. Ice Demon grew up all the way, and the speed of cultivation was as fast as a demon. In a short time, it broke through to become a Holy Spirit. It was just because of special reasons that it did not participate in the Dao Mansion competition, but its talent and strength were there, and it was recognized to be very strong. Ice Demon is good at swordsmanship and body skills, and his divine body is also extraordinary, but the realm is a little worse. No point in talking more, let's do it. Sudang smiled. Sudang's opponent is Ice Demon. This Ice Demon is a direct disciple of the Lord of the Endless Ice Domain. His swordsmanship has reached the perfect state. His strength is also top among the 16 Crown Shurikings. Many powerful Shurikings watching the game watched silently. In terms of reputation, Ice Demon's reputation in Huanquan Dao Mansion is not as loud as Sudang's, because Ice Demon has always been guided by a powerful lord, rarely shows up, and did not even participate in the Dao Mansion competition. But the foundation of Huanquan Daofu is so huge, and there is no shortage of geniuses. Even if they are at the same level, there may be a gap in strength. Bing Mo is one of the top 16 Crown Shurikings. Sudang is a monster, and Bing Mo is also a monster. The outcome of the collision between the two monsters is unpredictable. If I win this battle, Bing Mo will become the 17 Crown Shuriking. Bing Mo has a cold personality and a cold Dao. Looking at Sudang in front of him, although he is arrogant, he knows that this is a terrible opponent. I will do my best. This book has been updated recently in #at. Update. Bing Mo made a move. Boom. A cold light flashed instantly. Fight. Sudang also made a move at the same time. Two figures. One is a cold light, and the other is a time distortion. The two burst out their skills almost at the same time. Boom. Then they collided instantly. The cold light and the time distorting figure collided with each other in an instant, and the sword light and the shadow suddenly collided. The sword shadow carried a blue ice peak, and the sword light contained a blood-colored sword intent. In terms of power, the sword shadow was more bizarre, and the sword light was more terrifying and domineering. Then the two of them burst out at the same time. Break the ice pole. Devil prison blood kill. One is a perfect sword technique, and the other is a sword technique that is extremely close to the perfect realm. Boom. Boom. The ice demon is more like a cold assassin shuttling in the darkness, and Sudang is like a terrifying demon god. At the moment of collision, both of them burst out with all their strength, without any concealment. This is a ranking battle, and the winner can be decided in a flash, without any need for testing. Sudang also used all his magical powers, and the beautiful and fantastic star silk threads floated around him, enveloping his body. Boom. Suddenly colliding, the sword light of the devil prison blood kill was like a blood-colored storm, covering the entire arena, and the yellow spring space couldn't stop trembling and cracks appeared, and the black cracks spread. Whoosh. A cold light instantly penetrated the knife light and shot towards Sudang's brow. Die. The ice demon's face was cold, and turned into a cold light. His whole body seemed to condense into an ice sword. But then his pupils shrank. The beautiful star silk thread floated in front of him, and the world suddenly turned upside down, extremely chaotic, and the feeling almost made the ice demon nauseous. At the same time, the power contained in the star silk thread also consumed his divine body. What an annoying star silk thread. The ice demon frowned. Break. After all, it was a perfect sword technique, which instantly penetrated the field of chaotic green hair. But at this moment, Sudang's knife light instantly chopped the top of the ice demon's head. No matter how strong your sword technique is, it is only strong yourself. My chaotic green hair field affects the environment. It doesn't need to be so powerful. It's enough to affect you for a moment. Sudang's heart was extremely cold. Boom. A slash came down. The sword demon drew back the ice sword to resist at the moment of life and death. Boom. Blocked for a while, and then another knife. The latter's divine body resisted for a while. The last strike. The blade light was brilliant. It instantly penetrated the ice demon's divine body. Wow. The ice demon's divine body dissipated. I won. Sudang stood on the ring, looking down. There was a hideous wound on his chest, and pale golden divine blood flowed in it. Thanks to the book friend 42682 boss for the reward. I'm in a bad state today, so I will only update twice. Thank you for 3 updates tomorrow. Chapter 768, Firefox Shuriken. The wound was hideous, but it healed in the blink of an eye. Sudang shook his head. Although he won, he felt palpitations. The sword technique emphasizes killing. The killing method has reached the perfect state. It is indeed terrible. If my divine body is worse, I would have been defeated just now. In the previous battle, his sword technique was not as good as the ice demon, and his realm was also a little off. He was able to win because of some luck. This ice demon should not fight me head on. Although the 10th level of the Xianweishan sword technique is only extremely close to the perfect state. But after all, it is a sword technique that emphasizes power. The sword technique emphasizes power, and the sword technique emphasizes weirdness. The collision of the two. Even if the sword technique has a higher level of mystery, it can't gain much advantage. In the end, it was the divine body that fought. Sudang's only advantage was that his divine body was stronger. I hurt him with one sword, and he only seriously injured me with one sword. Lighting up the 8th star had already transformed Sudang's already not weak divine body into a top-notch artifact. It was too difficult to be seriously injured. So in the end, he won, not the ice demon. Of course, the ice demon body was also extraordinary. He defeated the opponent with 3 consecutive sword strikes. This battle was a victory. Sudang also successfully promoted to the 17 crown Shuriken. A trace of joy naturally appeared on his face. Looking at the yellow springs floating in the distance, he still remembered that when he set foot on the Yellow Springs Road, he fought and killed in one battle after another, and finally entered Dantian. At that time, he was just a king. How small he was facing the 6 Tiger Shurikings and the Shurikings of the Yama Palace. Now he has reached this level, the 17 Crown Shuriking. Although the 17th crown, 18th crown, 19th crown, there is a threshold at every step. Especially there is still a huge gap between the ordinary 19 crown Shuriking and the 10th palace Shuriking, the major super commanders, and the domain masters, but he has already truly stood at the level of the strong. Standing higher, the scenery is different. The great progress is a world of difference. The next battle, Sudang took a deep breath, and his eyes were full of fighting spirit, and he continued to challenge. The ranking battle is to see where your limit is. 1. I was optimistic about the Ice Demon, but I didn't expect that Sudang would win in the end. Many top masters who watched the battle sighed, and even the Overlord King behind the Ice Demon was watching the battle and sighed silently. Although this battle was only a ranking battle, it was still quite exciting. After all, it was a battle where the Taoism had reached the level of perfection. If it were like the peak match of the Dao Mansion competition, although each battle was equally exciting, many Shurikings who usually kept a low profile also exploded, and some dark horses would also emerge, but they would explode again. The level of Tao is there, and the power collides one by one. How can it be as exquisite as the methods of the perfect realm? In terms of what to watch, it is still worth watching these Taoisms that have reached the perfect realm. When Taoism reaches the perfect realm, it is recognized as perfect, and it is extremely close to the innate magical powers. It is perfect and flawless. When two perfect Taoisms collide, their respective methods and backgrounds can be truly revealed. The Ice Demon's Ice Extreme Sword technique was learned from his own Master King's teachings, and from sitting in the endless ice domain for 300 years. It was extremely cold and sharp. He fought Sudang head on. He still seriously injured Sudang. This kind of collision made people's hearts tremble, and their scalps numb. But he still lost in the end. Sudang's star thread is indeed unique, confusing space and turning the void upside down. It's incredible. Master Wang nodded slightly. The Taoist methods of the perfect realm are all extraordinary. Although Sudang had a high talent for time and space in the past, he had not yet reached the level of perfection. This star thread, in addition to the mystery of the thread trajectory, the stars are also quite magical. Since it can be used in the Yellow Spring space, it should not be a magic weapon. The Shuriking of the Yama Palace smiled. He knew that Sudang had used this star thread in the battle with the three-eyed True Lord, but he felt it was even more extraordinary when he saw it with his own eyes. This powerful magical power must have a great opportunity. Sudang had many great opportunities. In fact, who can quickly rise in the void to become a strong man without opportunities? Practicing step by step in a down-to-earth manner is a common thing. And Sudang was able to get the opportunity to stand out, which is also a skill. After all, the iron must be hard to forge. Without the ability, the opportunity is useless. The greater the opportunity, the more hardships you may face. With his eyes, he can easily see that the star thread magical power has a very high foundation and a great intention. It is not easy to get it. The Shuriking of the Yama Palace was very pleased. Many experts also admired and felt that the Ice Demon's defeat was natural. Let's see if he wants to continue. Many eyes watched. Then they saw that Sudang did not leave the ranking battle space. Some were expected, but many were surprised. Do you want to continue to challenge? The Ice Demon's strength is extraordinary among the 16 crown Shurikings, but compared with the 17 crown Shurikings, it can only be regarded as the bottom. It was a narrow victory to win the Ice Demon, and there is little hope of successfully challenging again. With the Star Silk thread alone, it is already the top. To break through to the 17 crown level, it will be difficult to break through to the 18 crown. This book was recently updated in update. Many experts shook their heads. They also came from that level, and many people were stuck at the 17 crown level for thousands of years. The higher you go, the harder it is to be better than each other. Sudang chose to match the 17 crown Shuriking ranking, and waited silently on the ring. At his level, the ring was tens of millions of miles in size, like a continent, floating in the golden ocean. The 17-crown Shuriken has definitely reached the state of perfection in Taoism. His divine body and divine power are even more terrifying. He may even reach the state of perfection, and he also has many terrifying magical powers. Defeating a 17-crown Shuriken? Sudan himself was not sure. After all, at this point, the only magical power he could show off in the state of perfection was the Star Silk Thread, and the Star Silk Thread was a domain-type Taoism, not good at killing. He defeated the Ice Demon because of his slightly better divine body, and the latter chose to fight him head-on. What about this battle? How to win? Will he still have the previous luck? The Tao has no end. Only by constantly challenging and knowing higher can we better find the direction of our own improvement. Sudong's eyes were cold. He was naturally tough, and it was his perseverance that brought him all the way to where he is now. Boom. A stream of light suddenly flashed across the misty sky above the ring, and the stream of light instantly fell on the battle stage, and then the stream of light dissipated. A man wearing a fiery red Taoist robe was revealed. He was surrounded by layers of flames. Even the exposed skin of the neck, hands, and feet was covered with flame patterns. His face was quite handsome, and a pair of eyes that also burned with flames looked at Sudong. Sudong Shuriken. The fiery red figure looked at Sudong from a distance. My Taoist name is Firefox. Although I have been a 17-crown Shuriken for a long time, my talent is dull, not half as good as yours. If I win this battle, it is also because I have practiced for more years than you. The 18th crown Shuriken. Everyone wants to rise to that level. 1 crown is a threshold, and the status is also rising. When you reach the 18th crown Shuriken, there will be no many restrictions in the Huangquandao mansion, and you can read many inheritances and secret books at will, and you will also enjoy a lot of praise. Please ask Brother Firefox to make a move. Sudong was surrounded by starlight, and a divine longsword appeared in his hand. He opened his mouth. Okay. Firefox Shuriken nodded, and then shouted, get up. Boom. A layer of red, surging divine fire like waves appeared out of thin air, and immediately enveloped Sudong for 1,000 miles. Lines of divine fire covered the sky, and floated towards Sudong in the center. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 769. Burn You. My boundless divine fire is a natural supernatural power. I was lucky enough to dig up the Taoist scriptures and got a magic to assist me. The combination of the two can be said to be a top-level magic in the perfect realm of Taoism. The Firefox Shuriken's eyes were like fire, staring at Sudong, who was shrouded in the divine fire. This battle, I will definitely win. His ability was considered to be above average among the 17 crown Shurikens. At the beginning, he could crush all enemies with this magic of divine fire. Boom boom boom. The divine fire was floating. Sudong's Star Silk Thread also floated away, and he used the chaotic green hair magic to try to guide the boundless divine fire to another place. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, 3 divine fire pillars appeared in the boundless divine fire. The 3 divine fire pillars were like sky-high fire pillars, like flying fire dragons. They spiraled straight up and directly entangled in Sudong's chaotic green hair magic. Break. Sudong urged the Star Silk Thread. The 3 divine fire pillars suddenly flew in disorder, and the surface divine fire splashed and floated even more randomly. Good move. The Firefox Shuriken in the outside world narrowed his eyes. Then he pinched his 5 fingers together and cast a series of magic spells. The flames in front of him grew brighter. In the boundless divine fire, the 3 divine fire pillars that were originally covered by the chaotic green hair magic instantly regained stability, and then they rotated straight. The 3 divine fire pillars pulled each other and melted. Then they combined out of thin air and condensed into a huge flame beast. The beast was like a dragon and a tiger, wrapped in raging flames. Its eyes were exactly the same as the Firefox, staring at Sudong with murderous intent. Sudong's heart jumped. Not easy to mess with. The Firefox Shuriken spoke politely, but his methods were much more sophisticated. He quickly used his sword skills to block it. Many powerful Shurikens and dominant kings who were watching the battle also talked about it. TSK. It's Firefox. How long has Firefox been at the 17 crowns level? Or 1000 years? Or 2000 years? Too long. Too long. His divine fire has long been pushed to the perfect state. His divine body and divine power have also reached the 17 crowns level. The only thing is that his body movement is too poor. Yes, his body movement is too poor. He can burn weaker enemies to death with his boundless divine fire, but it won't work if he encounters stronger enemies. As long as you can withstand the burning of his divine fire, you will be in trouble if you get close to him. Let's see if Sudan can withstand this boundless divine fire. If he can withstand it, he has a chance to win. If he can't withstand it, he will die. This Sudan fought against the ice demon in the last battle, but he fought against the Firefox in this battle. One ice and one fire. It's also interesting. The ice demon is the ultimate in close combat, with unparalleled attacks and extremely fast body movement. During the fight, the outcome is unpredictable. The only thing is that his divine body is slightly inferior. Firefox is different. Firefox Shuriken used his divine fire to burn to the level of 17 crown Shuriken. This divine fire is all he relies on. His fighting style is to burn with divine fire. Simple and rough. If he burns to death, he burns to death. If he can't burn to death, he will continue to burn. It seems that Sudan has never heard of this Firefox. Look, it's dangerous. Many Shurikens watched. The Shuriken of Yama Palace also watched, and Master Wang stroked his beard and watched as well. Sudan didn't know the origin of this Firefox Shuriken. He only knew that he was not easy to mess with. In the boundless flames, the divine fire was surging, igniting the blood around his divine body. 17 crown Shuriken is 17 crown Shuriken. It's really scary. He felt different as soon as he made a move. The ice demon was powerful, but he was facing the enemy head on. Although the fight was thrilling, he was confident, but the Firefox Shuriken's means made him feel depressed. This Firefox Shuriken also pushed the divine fire method to the perfect state. The divine fire exploded, and the means of attack were not inferior to him at all, even surpassed him. The divine fire burned, and its power continued to rise. The longer it burned, the higher the temperature. His sword skills burst out, but gradually decreased. One rise and one fall. If he dragged on for too long, he would surely lose. My 9 Nether Fire Lotus divine body is also an expert in using fire, but my level of Taoism is not even comparable to the heels of this Firefox Shuriken. The divine fire Taoism of the perfect state is too terrifying. The opponent is powerful, but Sudan only thought for a moment, and regained his fighting spirit. Fight with all my strength. He drew his sword in an instant. Sword skills, demon prison blood kill. Ultimate mode. Boom. The bloody sword light storm erupted in an instant, and the endless sword light and sword intent were like a volcanic eruption, extremely brilliant and glorious. This sword instantly slashed at the Firefox Shuriken outside the boundless divine fire. This sword was extremely violent. Lose. The Shuriken of Yama Palace, who was sitting in the palace watching this battle, shook his head. The explosion of the devil prison blood killing sword technique, coupled with Sudan's use of the power amplification secret method, is indeed powerful, but unfortunately, this power is still short of breaking the boundless divine fire. His chance of victory lies in the star thread, and the attainment of the star thread is higher than the sword technique. If the star thread is suppressed, he will lose. Many powerful Lord Kings saw it more clearly. The Lord King of Pan's Hang Mountain had a cold face. Almost, if the sword technique breaks through the 11th level, it can beat this Firefox, the 10th level. After all, it was a little short. A knife was chopped out. Sudan also felt it, and the violent knife light and the boundless divine fire collided instantly. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. The surrounding yellow spring space exploded directly, revealing a large black hole, and the yellow spring airflow surged into it, and many yellow spring waves rolled and flowed. Under such power, even a stable yellow spring space seemed a little fragile. Similarly, the boundless divine fire also broke a hole, and the huge flame beast's body exploded directly, but in just a moment, the exploded flame beast condensed into shape again. One claw pounced on the knife light. The knife light trembled. The storm-like knife light collided with the flames, and the tyrannical power forced the endless divine fire to spread thousands of miles, tearing one terrifying gap after another. It directly slashed at the Firefox Shuriken. The Firefox Shuriken stretched out his hand and clenched it. The surging divine fire condensed into a huge palm. It directly crushed the knife light. This divine fire is too strong. It can consume 90% of my knife light power, and the remaining 10% can't affect the Firefox Shuriken at all. Sudang's face was ugly. It's hard to win this game. If the opponent is good at a certain technique, he can still find a flaw, and seizing that flaw is a chance to win. But this Firefox Shuriken directly set fire. It doesn't make sense, it just burns. Moreover, the arrangement of the divine fire reached the perfect state, perfect and flawless, without any flaws, and Sudang's body skills were suppressed to the extreme. How to win? There is no way. Firefox Shuriken, you forced me. Sudang glanced at the Firefox Shuriken outside. Wow. Sudang's divine body suddenly shrank to the size of a palm, and at the same time, the star silk thread enveloped his body. Boom. The flame beast slapped it. The slap was instantly worn away, and disintegrated when it hit the star silk thread. The star silk thread was formed by the continuous high-speed movement of 8 stars. It affects the space internally, and is also a magic to kill enemies externally. After all, the 8 stars gather unpredictable power. The boundless divine fire burned, and the divine fire was affected by the star silk thread, and the chaos drifted elsewhere. Only the high temperature power penetrated in. Sudang's divine body was slightly damaged, but it recovered in the blink of an eye. In addition, the smaller his divine body is, the smaller the area affected by the heat will be, reducing the power to the extreme. What? This? The Shurikens watching the battle were stunned. The Shuriken of Yama Palace was also stunned. This? Haha, interesting. Ha. The Firefox Shuriken floating outside was also stunned. Chapter 770. 18 Crown Shuriken Sudang. Not moving. He was stunned for a moment, and then he understood instantly. How brave you are. Let's see how long you can hold out under my boundless divine fire. The Firefox Shuriken sneered. The perfect divine fire method, plus the long years of polishing, he consumed many rare treasures to polish his divine fire. Sudang also has the 9 nether fire lotus divine body. He knows that it is not easy to breed divine fire. How difficult it is to push the power of a divine fire to the level of perfect power. Go. The red flames condensed into a fire dragon, burning towards Sudang. Sudang sat cross-legged in it, surrounded by the chaotic green silk field, and the beautiful star silk thread surrounded him, which was as big as a palm, and almost perfectly isolated from everything. But, the power penetrated in. The power of the flame, after being disturbed and guided by the star silk thread, is less than 4 layers left. The advantage is that it is endless, and does not stop for a moment. It can damage my divine body by 3% every moment. I can withstand it. Sudang glanced at the Firefox Shuriken outside. The Firefox Shuriken was powerful. He was suppressing him, and wanted to break the Taoism. He didn't have that ability, but this was a ranking battle. To win, he could only bear it. Many powerful people in the outside world watched this scene. Each of them was an extremely powerful person, and each of them was a smart person. They instantly understood Sudang's plan. Haha, this Sudang can't break the Firefox Taoism. Start to cheat. The battle space of the ranking battle is constantly shrinking. After more than half an hour, the battle stage will shrink to several feet. At that time, the Firefox can only fight Sudang in close combat. It's not bad. It's indeed the way to win. To defeat the Firefox, you must break its Taoism, or withstand its burning. Yes, that's easy to say. Half an hour. Can Sudang hold out for half an hour? The Firefox's endless divine fire is not a vegetarian. It depends on how strong Sudang's divine body is. You saw earlier that the ice demon's sword only pierced his skin a little. Now with the star thread, it has a weakening effect. Let's see how long he can hold out. Many strong men laughed. There was no suspense in this battle, but now it is a bit interesting. If he can hold out for half an hour, it's hard to say who will win. The Shuriken of Yamahall also smiled. Originally, Sudang was bound to lose, but now, there is a glimmer of hope. Although the means are not very good, this is the rule. Rules are also a kind of power. It depends on how strong Sudang's divine body is. How long can he hold out? Take my heavenly demon true fire again. The Firefox Shuriken was still full of confidence. Withstand his divine fire? It's ridiculous. Go. In the boundless divine fire, an almost transparent light blue flame appeared out of thin air, condensed into the shape of an arrow, and shot straight to the star thread on Sudang's body. Swish. Half of the light blue arrow was worn away. The remaining half sank into Sudang's divine body. The light blue flame did not cause any damage to Sudang's divine body, but penetrated into his mind. Soul attack. Sudang smiled, and the majestic soul of Tuoshi's divine body emerged layer by layer. The light blue flame was like a drop in the ocean, silent and silent. This Sudang, his soul is not weak either. Yes, he is a top genius, with a terrifyingly high talent and comprehension. How could his soul be weak? Firefox Shuriken saw that Sudang was still calm after an arrow went down, and immediately understood that the latter had more to rely on in terms of soul. Soul attack is different from divine power attack. Soul, if you can withstand it, it will be fine, but if you can't withstand it, there will be 3 major symptoms: loss of consciousness, coma, or direct death. Even his expression did not change, obviously not affected at all. At this time, the Firefox Shuriken's face changed slightly. His eyes swept around the surroundings. The entire Huangquan fighting arena had shrunk from tens of millions of miles at the beginning to a million miles at this moment. It was reduced tenfold. If he really can hold on for half an hour, it will be dangerous. Close combat? With Sudang's body skills, without the barrier of the boundless divine fire, he can be easily killed. Burn. Must burn him to death. Firefox Shuriken gritted his teeth. Firefox Shuriken stretched out his hand and pointed, and suddenly a cluster of red, blue, and yellow flames entangled, condensed into a cone, and pierced Sudang. I'm anxious. According to legend, is the most skilled divine fire in the endless world. It has its own penetrating ability. Let's see if Sudang can hold on. Many eyes watched. The 3-color flame cone fell on the body surface. This time, the star silk thread blocked it for a moment, only guiding the direction of the fire cone to deviate slightly, and then the latter directly pierced Sudang's divine body. Sudang's face changed slightly. One flame damaged nearly 1/10 of my divine body? Sudang was shocked. This flame was powerful. He was surprised, but he didn't know that the many strong men watching from the outside world in the Firefox Shuriken were even more surprised. Did you withstand it? You withstood it so easily. 1/10 of the divine body is also considered a loss. This Sudang's divine body is really powerful. Many strong men watching the battle exclaimed. Yes, Sudang's star transformation has benefited the most from his will, followed by his divine body. Originally, the ultimate king body was extremely strong, and with the star transformation, it became stronger. It was natural that he could withstand the burning of this divine fire. The range of the battle stage is only a few dozen miles left. The Firefox Shuriken looked at the surrounding world. Burn, burn, burn. This book has been updated recently in #@. Update. The Firefox Shuriken hurriedly urged a series of strange flames, all kinds of flames, colorful, and even in different shapes, rushing towards Sudang. Sudang, if you have the guts, come and fight me in an upright manner. He also challenged. Sudang couldn't help but grin. If you take this divine fire, I will fight you. Firefox Shuriken stopped talking. He only had this divine fire as a means, and one trick was enough to conquer the world. But he didn't expect to encounter such a terrifying divine body like Sudang. He could only keep burning. Finally, when the battle stage was only a dozen feet from the divine fire world, Sudang, who was sitting cross-legged, was nearly 70% weak, but he looked up at Firefox Shuriken, who had a trace of palpitations in his eyes. It's my turn. Sudang stood up suddenly, and the starry silk thread spread out, and endless sword shadows appeared in the air. I'll fight you. Firefox Shuriken roared. For 2000 years, He was stuck at the level of 17 crown shuriken, and he went up and down, and he also reached the 18 crown shuriken, but he still fell down later. After practicing for a long time, he is not as good as Sudang, who has practiced for 1,000 years. A fire stick appeared in the hand of Firefox Shuriken. This is the condensation of divine power, and it is also the appearance of a magic weapon he is good at using. Die. Sudang's figure blurred. This, so fast. Firefox Shuriken's eyes widened. He was afraid of those with fast body movements. Puff. The knife light was too fast and the distance was too close. It flashed in front of Firefox Shuriken. Firefox Shuriken tried to block it hastily, but the knife light was right in front of him, but he couldn't block it. The knife fell. Firefox Shuriken's divine body was split into two. How can it be so fast? I know he is terrible in close combat, but this is too. Firefox Shuriken shuddered. He was the 17 crown shuriken after all, and he couldn't even touch the opponent's knife. Then the knife light flashed. Firefox Shuriken's eyes went black. Wow. Firefox Shuriken's divine body, which was broken into 3 pieces, dissipated, and Sudang stood with a knife. He glanced at his own divine body with cold eyes, then turned around and left the ranking battle space. Many powerful spectators immediately talked about it. Some were amazed, and some remained silent. 1. 18 crown shuriken. Is this Sudang the youngest 18 crown shuriken in the history of Dao Mansion? That Firefox actually lost. He practiced for tens of thousands of years, but he still lost. They sighed, not because the Firefox Shuriken practiced for a long time, but because everyone at this level has practiced for tens of thousands of years, or even hundreds of thousands of years. And how long has Sudang practiced? 18 crown shuriken. How scary. Chapter 771, Shocking the Dao Mansion. If Sudang had been practicing for hundreds of thousands of years, it would not be scary. He could only be considered an average genius. But how long has Sudang been practicing? And he has directly reached the level of the 18 crown shuriken. This is scary. They are both practicing, but he has reached a level that others can only reach after practicing for 1,000 years, or even hundreds of thousands of years. This talent is too scary and too evil. Even if the spectators are all the top masters of the Dao Mansion, the 10 palace shurikens, the worst are the 19 crown shurikens, everyone feels incredible at this moment. Even the Domination King, who is at the Domination Realm, is paying attention. The 18 crown shuriken means that he is only one step away from reaching their level. They have been practicing for at least hundreds of thousands of years. In hundreds of thousands of years, there is very little progress, but Sudang has only been practicing for a short time, and the latter still has huge room for improvement. This is what makes them tremble. After practicing for 1,000 years, he became the 18 crown shuriken. In time, he can expect to become the Domination King. I remember that Sudang is under the command of the Shuriken of Yama Palace. In a few years, I'm afraid that Sudang will surpass the Shuriken of Yama Palace. Not necessarily. A group of strong men talk to each other. For a long time. You all know the strength of Yama. It's very close to the Domination Realm. As long as he takes one more step, he will become the Domination King. It's too difficult to surpass Yama. Yes. The strength of the Shuriken of Yama Palace is recognized as strong. Only the Domination King can surpass him. How difficult is it to surpass the Shuriken of Yama Palace? Unless he becomes the Domination King. However, Sudang's rise is beyond doubt. As long as he doesn't fall, he will definitely surpass them, and he will only be stronger in the future. A special plane in the Yellow Springs space. A hazy shadow stood in the void, watching this battle silently. At the beginning, King Zan showed amazing talent. He practiced for thousands of years. Not only did he win the first place in the Daofu competition, but he also became the 18 crown shuriken. He must have a great opportunity, or he is really born against the will of heaven. But a life against the will of heaven is born extraordinary. He is so outstanding, he must have a chance against the will of heaven. The wider your knowledge, the more you can see clearly. Miracles cannot be created just by saying it. Only a chance against the will of heaven can create a miracle against the will of heaven. Talent. Diligence. There are so many people with high talents. There are countless people who practice diligently. Why haven't we seen more people like Sudang? In the end, it's still a matter of chance. I really want to know what kind of opportunity Sudong has. The hazy shadow chuckled and gradually dissipated. Being able to enter a special plane in the Yellow Spring space and see the battle scene of the ranking battle with your own eyes is also a means against the will of heaven. This is the Yellow Spring space. Huanquan Deofu, a Huanquan runs through the void everywhere, even the void of endless time. As long as you hold the Huanquan order, you can enter the Huanquan road. No matter where you are, they will all be gathered together. The means are too terrible. Huanquan Saint Lord is therefore recognized as the peak powerhouse of Deofu, second only to Shian Qirin Sheng Emperor. In fact, Huanquan Saint Lord's status in Huanquan Deofu is indeed very high. The Shura King of Yama Palace stood in the palace, and there was also a look of surprise on his cold face. When Sudong fought with the three-eyed casual cultivator, he showed extraordinary strength, but it was only at the level of the 15-crown Shura King. This is also the estimate of the Shura King of Yama Palace, that Sudong's strength would reach the level of the 15-crown Shura King. But unexpectedly, he rushed to the 18th crown in one breath. He got so high in the ranking battle. It shows that Sudong's own strength is terrible, and he does not rely on artifacts. In addition, his divine body foundation in the three-eyed battle did not show it. The Shura King of Yama Palace shook his head. The divine body is very important. The more life and death battles, the stronger the divine body, the more terrifying it is. Although Sudong and the three-eyed true lord had a fierce battle at the beginning, both of them were mainly fighting with magic, and neither of them thought of killing the other. Therefore, Sudong's divine body was not pushed to the limit at all. Instead, he broke into the ranking battle. The ranking battle let Sudong's divine body advantage fully manifest. The battle with the ice demon was the limit of Sudong's Taoism. He relied on his stronger divine body to suppress the ice demon. When it came to the Firefox Shura King, he was completely suppressed by the Firefox Shura King's boundless divine fire. In terms of divine arts and Taoism, he was almost no match. He still relied on the strength of his divine body to hold on. He withstood the boundless divine fire and finally killed the Firefox Shura King. The divine body method of the two worlds galaxy has also spread. I haven't heard of it being so terrible. The Shura King of Yama shook his head. In the void of the medieval times, in the Shura world, although Sudong's record of becoming the 18th crown Shura King in one breath spread and shocked the Dao Mansion, as the creator of this miracle, Sudong was not excited at all. Congratulations, Master, for becoming the 18th crown Shura King. Goddess Mingjing hurried into the hall to congratulate. You know everything? Sudong was surprised. The news spread really fast. Master, now all the Shura Kings in the Dao Mansion are talking about the Master, saying that the Master is the most talented Shura King in the history of Huanquan Dao Mansion. Goddess Mingjing was excited. The Master is powerful. This is the supreme honor. This book was recently updated in #@. Update. Sudong shook his head helplessly. Master is unhappy. Goddess Mingjing's smile was restrained. It's a lucky win. There's nothing to congratulate. His battle with the Ice Demon Shura King can be said to be a frank victory, but the battle with the Firefox Shura King, the victory was too frustrating. The difference in Taoism is too obvious. The Firefox Shura King's divine fire Taoism is far superior to mine. He suppressed me in all aspects. I could only rely on my divine body to withstand it and win. I fought hard until the end, and my divine body was nearly 80% depleted before I killed him. If I delayed for a moment, I would have lost. That was a ranking battle. His divine body advantage can be fully utilized. If it were a real battle, the Firefox Shura King, with the blessing of the artifact, would have a stronger divine fire, but he couldn't even touch the latter's clothes, let alone win. The gap in Taoism is there. Unless the swordsmanship is further improved, and the 11th level of the heavenly swordsmanship is mastered, he can compete with the Firefox Shura King. He won this time by luck. Of course, he also knew the limit of his strength, so he didn't stop after winning, and directly withdrew from the ranking battle. Now my status and authority are sufficient, and it's time to investigate the many intelligence of the Dao Palace. Sudong immediately activated the command talisman. Always know that you still have shortcomings, so you can keep improving. The goddess Mingjing stood silently, her eyes full of admiration. The master is a peerless strong man of his generation. Some achievements that others admire are nothing in the eyes of the master. Inside the Buzzhao Mountain Heavenly Palace, 18 crown Shuriken, although it was hard to win. But he won after all. Master Wang shook his head and smiled. Xian, come to me quickly. A moment later, a short but enthusiastic Shuriken entered Master Wang's palace. Master Wang sat at the top with a majestic aura, and the short Shuriken hurriedly saluted respectfully. Greetings, Master Wang. Do you know Shuriken Sudong? Master Wang said. Shuriken Sudong has just reached the 18 crown level in the ranking battle, and everyone in the Taoist Palace is shocked. He is the top genius of the Taoist Palace, and Xian naturally knows it. Okay, I have something I need you to do. The short figure below obeyed respectfully. The news that Sudong had become the 18 crown Shuriken was like a storm that swept through the Dao mansion that day and then spread throughout many voids within a few months. Chapter 772, Sudong must be killed. There are many alien races in the void, and their forces are even more complicated. In a ruined void that is extremely far away, the void is broken everywhere, and there are traces of destruction in the cracks. There is no vitality, and even the spiritual power is completely isolated. But there is a towering hall in the center of the void. The hall is thousands of miles high, and the whole body is pitch black. The boundless desolate atmosphere symbolizes that this is the territory of purgatory. Purgatory life destroys the void one by one, and it will also completely drain the nutrients of the void. Therefore, the common enemy of all life in the entire void is purgatory. After all, no matter how other lives fight, they are all internal fights. No matter how serious the fight is, the foundation that breeds all life will not be damaged. But purgatory life is different. Purgatory life devours killing. The goal is to destroy the entire void. All pieces of void are destroyed. The only thing that is preserved is to reproduce more nutrients. Endless killing, boundless darkness. So all life in the void fights against purgatory life together. But the horror of purgatory is undeniable. Even in the endless years, purgatory still exists, just oppressed at a distance. Close to the core of the void of the endless era, that is the territory of the huge forces of void life. Purgatory life will be hunted down as soon as it appears. Only on this edge, purgatory life can survive. In the towering palace, a life with a dark body and countless dense tentacles on its head crawled on the huge throne, and a pair of eyes flashing with faint purple light stared coldly below. You said that the void life has one more talent, and the threat is still higher than the Shuriken of Yama Palace and the Thousand Lights Ancestral Buddha? The Shuriken of Yama Palace is recognized as the Shuriken who is closest to the Domination King. His self-created Yama sword is even more famous in the endless void. Purgatory life is naturally extremely afraid. After all, the next step is the Domination King. The birth of a domination realm in the void life means that the survival pressure of their purgatory life will be even greater. Therefore, the one that purgatory wants to kill most is the Shuriken of Yama Palace, who has terrible potential and must be a powerful threat. As for the Thousand Lights Ancestral Buddha, his reputation is no less than that of the Shuriken of Yama Palace. There is a pool of dark mud under the throne. The mud turned into a black snake, which kept circling and entwining. Yes, the Lord Demon. The Black Snake said, the news just came from Huan Kundeofu that Sudong has become the 18 crown Shuriken after only practicing for 1,000 years. His talent is against the sky and should not be underestimated. 18 crown Shuriken, the upper level of the perfect realm. The huge dark figure above stared at the black snake with purple eyes. Different paths lead to the same destination. The perfect realm symbolizes the perfection of a Tao. No matter what Tao it is, the ultimate is perfection. It took thousands of years to reach the perfect realm, which is the 49th level of the void. They are all top geniuses. Such geniuses can also appear in this 90+ story void world. Kill, must kill. Keeping them will definitely be a great trouble for our clan. The Shuriken of Yama Palace and the Thousand Lights Ancestral Buddha are at the top, just one step away from becoming the dominant king, but at the same time, it took a long time to reach this point, and perhaps becoming the dominant king is the limit. Sudong is different. Cultivating so fast. If there is any great opportunity, it is very likely to become an emperor. An emperor can influence the changes in the power structure, such as Huangquandeofu. Qianqi Rinsheng Emperor opened up the Holy Spirit Road, the Emperor of the Void God Court, and the Buddha of the Eternal Buddha Realm. It was their appearance that finally suppressed purgatory. It was pressed to the edge of the void. Later, an ultimate king appeared in the two worlds. It was directly the fourth force in the void. A master realm can only give purgatory life a headache, but an emperor is not just a headache. I remember, the wine demon went to kill Sudan. Now it seems that the strength of a wine demon is not enough. Send an order to let Kixin solve this Sudan. It must be killed with one strike, and don't let Huangquandeofu have the possibility of sheltering him. The huge black shadow on the throne said. Yes. The black snake transformed from the quagmire swam, and instantly swam out of the palace, and disappeared into the void. In the void of the Middle Ages, the 5-Dragon Lord was drinking fine wine, and watching many fairies dancing. Suddenly, a shadow condensed directly in front of the cloud bed. The shadow was bloody, hazy, and shrouded in scarlet mist, but one of the hideous and twisted dragon heads could be seen faintly. Ancestor? The 5-Dragon Lord was startled. He was born with extraordinary blood, but the blood in front of him was even more extraordinary. Even if it was not the most powerful ancestor dragon in the void space, it was not far behind. It was the ancestor of his lineage. The ancestor actually sent down a shadow to see him. The 5-Dragon Lord was so scared that he trembled. Wulong, let me ask you, do you know Sudang Shura King? The scarlet dragon head that looked like a demon spoke. The voice was cold and full of murderous aura. These great demons that rose from the birth of the void were all masters of endless killing. If it weren't for the purgatory life, humans and demons are natural enemies. Many high-ranking officials of the Void God Court are mainly demons, while the Yellow Spring Deo Mansion is mainly human. So this has also led to the tension between the Yellow Spring Deo Mansion and the Void God Court. I know, of course I know. The 5-Dragon God Lord nodded quickly. This Sudang Shura King is the commander-in-chief of the Yellow Spring Deo Mansion guarding my side. His strength is just average, just slightly stronger than me. He said this, but muttered in his heart. How could the ancestor of his lineage suddenly ask about Sudan? In front of the ancestor, of course he didn't mention that he was not as good as Sudan. But the phantom sneered. Average strength? Stronger than you? Humph, this Sudan will definitely be the enemy of my Void God Court. The 5-Dragon God Lord suddenly widened his eyes. This book has been updated recently in #@. Update. No way. Just a Sudan. Stupid. An ordinary human, embarking on the path of cultivation, achieved perfection in just 1,000 years. Such a person will definitely become a top powerhouse, but he is still very weak now, and there is still a chance to restrain him. Restrict? Kill him. The 5-Dragon God Lord raised his eyelids. Kill him. Huangquandeofu is not a fool. Let you kill him, I tell you. You. The ferocious dragon figure spoke, but only the 5-Dragon God Lord could hear it clearly. The inner world of the Cordeodo of Huangquandeofu. In a small world restaurant. Kunyi Shura King casually spread his long hair, sitting quietly in the corner drinking ordinary wine, like an ordinary mortal who was frustrated. It's so fast, I just rushed to the 15th Crown Shura King, and he has already become the 18th Crown Shura King. Kunyi Shura King rarely smiled. In the past, I was dissatisfied in my heart, but now it seems that this Sudang is indeed stronger than me. After practicing for 1,000 years, the 18th Crown Shura King, it's really scary. In a large world with towering giant trees, a handsome man with wings on his back stood on the top of the giant tree, with an emerald crystal inlaid between his eyebrows. His face was extremely handsome, and his pair of dark green eyes were flashing with golden threads. He stood here, as if the entire giant tree of the world was centered on him. With such a fast cultivation speed, if he has the foundation of master, he will definitely soar into the sky. This Sudang must be killed. He snorted coldly. Even if it costs a huge price, he must be killed. Killing this Sudang now is equivalent to killing a future master king. No matter how great the cost, it is worth it. The outside world was in turmoil. Sudang walked out of the Shura world. Everything is ready. It's time to go to the Taoist palace. On this day, no one knew that Sudong drove the spring and autumn boat and turned into a blurry stream of light and disappeared into the void. I'm going back to my hometown today, so I'll update twice first. Chapter 773 Kilu Island Purgatory. True Lord. There is an island in the void at the end of the world, named Kilu Island. The island is as big as the sky and earth. There used to be a holy spirit living in the island. Now all the lives have been killed. There is only a burly figure standing on the island, silently devouring the body of a holy spirit. After 90,000 years of forbearance, I finally broke through and became the true Lord. If the Lord Demon knew that I became the true Lord, he would be very happy. The burly figure sat there and ate, with a pair of evil eyes flashing with black light. Purgatory life walks in the vast void. The weaker ones are very cautious. Once they reveal their tracks, they may be killed by the four major forces. But after forbearing for 90,000 years, once they break through, this burly figure will naturally indulge himself. Even because of the long time of forbearance, he indulges himself more unscrupulously, more crazy, while devouring. There is a dark golden gourd on the chest of this burly figure. The material of the gourd is peculiar. The burly figure eats half of the flesh and blood, and the gourd eats half. Dear gourd, eat more, so you can grow up quickly. The burly figure smiled. The only treasure on his body is this little gourd. With this little gourd, he can quickly improve and become a true Lord level purgatory life. The little gourd quickly devoured the flesh and blood. There seemed to be endless space in the gourd, and no amount of flesh and blood could fill it. Boom. There was a sudden explosion in the sky above Kilu Island, followed by several streams of light falling. It's coming so fast. The burly figure was startled and suddenly raised his head and looked towards the sky. Above Kilu Island, Zenhei Shura King and Xianxing Palace Master led many Shura Kings and Void Palace Masters to look down with cold eyes. Looking at the completely extinct Kilu Island, many figures showed anger on their faces. It's the true Lord level purgatory life. How dare you slaughter the void like this? A 15-crown Ashura King, a palace master of the Void God Court. The bold donkey from the Eternal Buddha realm didn't come. The burly figure looked around cautiously. He was not afraid at all. Once his strength broke through, his ability to save his life also increased greatly. The General Ashura King and the palace master were not his opponents at all. Only when all parties joined forces and had more means would he feel difficult. Under normal circumstances, it is extremely difficult to kill a true Lord level purgatory life, unless under special circumstances, such as disordered rules and depression. But this Kilu Island is a normal void, and there is no suppression on him. Of course he is confident. My name is Yuhang, call me Yuhang true Lord. The purgatory life Yuhang spoke. Kill him. The Zenhei Ashura King and the Xianxing Palace Master above took action at the same time. Killing purgatory life is the common responsibility of all void life. No need to say more. The magic weapon in the hands of Zenhei Ashura King was a harpoon, which had grown to more than 1,000 feet long, and was entangled with wind and thunder, and stabbed down fiercely. The Lord of Xianxing Hall waved his hand, and the world instantly fell into a world of ice and snow. The cold wind was howling, and each gust of wind was an extremely sharp knife light, cutting down wantonly. The other Shura Kings and the Lord of the Void Hall also took action at the first time. Some tricks. Yuhang Zensu sneered, and he punched out, and the dark fist shadows instantly covered the sky. Each fist shadow was wrapped in explosive power. Boom, boom, boom. The sky was full of fist shadows. A collision. Not good. This purgatory life is so powerful. The faces of Zenhei Ashura King and Xianxing Hall Lord changed slightly. The two figures retreated violently. One punch knocked back the two powerful men. That's all? Yuhang's true Lord sneered. Use whatever means you have. I don't know what you can do to me. While he was saying this, he secretly urged the golden gourd to continuously devour flesh and blood. These flesh and blood were all nourishing food. He had endured for 90,000 years in the past, but when had he ever eaten them so happily like this? You beast, don't be so arrogant. The Xianxing Palace Master suddenly turned his body to the side and turned into a silver eagle with wings spread across the sky. The eagle flew across the sky and a silver light cut through the sky and rushed down in an instant. Come on. The purgatory life Yu Hang sneered, and his burly figure also instantly grew larger. In the blink of an eye, a strong and ferocious long tail extended from his back. The long tail swung violently. Puff! This tail directly whipped the Xianxing Palace master, who had revealed his true form, away. The true Lord level purgatory life's body was terrifying. It was comparable to the power of the 8th and 9th levels of the void life, and with the changes in this Yu Hang, the combat power it exerted was even close to the 10th level. In a one-on-one battle, it was a complete crushing. The master of Xianxing Palace was blown away, and a crack appeared on the body of the flying eagle. Divine blood was scattered, and it was obvious that he was seriously injured. This purgatory life is not an ordinary true master level. He has just broken through. How can he be so strong? The master of Xianxing Palace gritted his teeth. Ask for help. Ask for help. Zenhei Shuriking flipped his hand and took out the Daofu Order talisman, and the master of Xianxing Palace took out a jade talisman. The purgatory life Yu Hang below looked coldly. This book was recently updated in #at. Update. Ask for help. I'm afraid that powerful people will come soon, but there are only a few of the most powerful void lives around the Xianai void. I can still do it if I hold on for a while. He didn't take the initiative to attack, just resisted. His goal was not to kill, but to devour all the flesh and blood. Taking the initiative to attack would delay his time. After all, although he was not afraid of the two above, he couldn't kill them easily. In the sky, the Lord of Xianxing Palace and the Zenhei Shuriking set up formations, and layers of formations covered the void, but the Yu Hang True Lord below only took a look. He did not stop. None of these formations could affect him. It's almost there. It's almost there. I'll leave after I've devoured it. But it was only for a moment. Whoosh! A sword light flashed, and instantly appeared between heaven and earth. The sword light dissipated, revealing a man in a black robe. The man was pale, with an ugly scar on his right cheek, and the whole person exuded a cold breath. Master of Jijian Palace. Zenhei Shuriking's eyes lit up slightly. Xianxing greets Master of Jijian Palace. The Lord of Xianxing saluted respectfully. The Master of Jijian Palace was powerful enough to rival the 17-crown Shuriking of Huangquan Daofu. He was also good at swordsmanship, and his swordsmanship reached perfection, and his attacks were extremely fierce. The Master of Jijian Palace is here, and that purgatory life must die. Zenhei Shuriking spoke. The Lord of Xianxing Hall said, this Lord of Purgatory calls himself Yu Hang. His demonic body is strong. He severely injured me with just one tail. We are no match for him. The Lord of Jijian Hall looked down with a cold face. It is the Lord of Jijian Hall of the Void God Court. It is said that his magic sword has reached the perfect state. His sword skills in the perfect state have frightened many lords. Yu Hang, the life of purgatory, sneered and said, is it the Lord of Jijian Hall who came up? It's me. The Lord of Jijian Hall drew his sword. Everyone says that you are good at swordsmanship. Come, let me see if you are really good or just a name. Ridiculous. The Lord of Jijian Hall drew his sword in an instant, and the sword light burst out, instantly shattering the surrounding space layer by layer. So. The Lord of Yu Hang also swung out his tail, and wherever the tail passed, it was like a black line passing by in an instant. The two sides fought together. The Lord of Xianxing Hall and the Zenhei Shuriking were terrified. This Lord of Purgatory can actually fight the Master of Extreme Sword Hall on equal terms. Zenhei, my Void Divine Court has come to help. Where is your Huangquan Daofu? The Master of Xianxing Hall frowned and asked. Right away, right away. Zenhei Shuriking said. But he muttered in his heart that, if he asked for help, the Daofu would also spread the word, and look for it. The powerful Shuriking must be a 17-crown Shuriking to be useful, and he must come quickly, otherwise it will be too late. How could it be so easy? But it only took less than 2 breaths. Did you receive a response? Zenhei Shuriking's eyes lit up. I wonder which Shuriking is coming to help. How long will it take? He sent a message to ask. I'm Sudang. I will be there in a moment. A voice came from the command talisman. Chapter 774 Sudang takes action. Sudang Shuriking? Zenhei Shuriking was startled. Now, who among the Shurikings of Huangquan Daofu doesn't know this peerless Shuriking? I heard from Booming Shuriken that Purgatory is trying every means to kill Sudan. He dares to come out? Zenhei Shuriken was puzzled. Why hasn't he arrived yet? Xianxing Palace Master asked. Zenhei Shuriken looked up. Here he comes. Whoosh. Suddenly, a crack appeared in the sky, and a light lit up in the crack. The light was a wooden boat. The wooden boat penetrated the void. When the speed reached a certain level, the power also increased. Like Sudan driving the divine object spring and autumn boat, it shuttled through the heaven and earth, and could easily penetrate the void. With a flash of light, the spring and autumn boat was put away, and a figure walked out of it. The figure was wearing a white robe, with a cold face. The mark of the 18 crown shuriken on his forehead was like a twisted crown. The whole person exuded a murderous aura, but also a unique temperament, a temperament that would not hesitate to move forward, even if the sky fell, and the earth collapsed. Sudan Shuriken. Zenhei Shuriken hurriedly saluted. Zenhei Shuriken. Sudan nodded in response. This is the Xianxing Palace Master. Sudan looked over. The Xianxing Palace Master next to him was stunned. Sudan Shuriken? Now Sudan Shuriken, who is famous in the void, peerless elegance, stunning many eras, such an idol level strongman, just appeared in front of him like this? Meet Sudan Shuriken. Xianxing Palace Master hurriedly saluted. Sudan glanced at him, and then looked at the Jijian Palace Master and the Yuhan True Lord who were fighting below. Jijian Palace Master, I'm here to help you. Whoosh. Sudan flew down directly. My god, that's Sudan Shuriken? Zenhei, it is said that the Purgatory life is trying to get rid of Sudan Shuriken as soon as possible. Sudan Shuriken dares to come out? Xianxing Shuriken asked in a voice transmission. Why not? Do you think Sudan Shuriken is you? How can such a peerless strong man be afraid? Zenhei Shuriken said. In fact, the Shuriken of Yama Palace has reminded Sudan to be careful more than once. The Dao mansion even wants Sudan to enter the Dao capital. When his strength breaks through to the level of the Shuriken of Yama Palace, he can come out. Sudan naturally refused. It's not a day or two that the Purgatory life wants to kill him. The Void life and the Purgatory life have been fighting until now. Who doesn't want to kill whom? He has risen from obscurity to now, and he has never been afraid to move forward, because the enemy wants to kill him. He has never been afraid of killing, since he embarked on the road of cultivation. Of course, it is necessary to be cautious. I have the star system, and I am destined to rise rapidly. The Purgatory life wants to kill me, because I'm still weak. Why doesn't the Purgatory life kill the Lord King of Pan's Han Mountain, and kill Master Wang? Don't you want to? Sudan laughed secretly. It's not that he doesn't want to, but unless there is a decisive battle, he can't kill him at all. And he has to hide, for fear of being killed. Why did the Purgatory life retreat to the edge of the void? It's because of the many powerful people in the void. When I reach the level of the Lord King, it's not whether the Purgatory life wants to kill me, but how I kill Purgatory. Quickly making yourself stronger is the fundamental way to deal with all dangers. He went to the Asking Dao Palace, and on the way he happened to receive a message from the Dao Mansion that a true Lord level Purgatory life appeared on Kyoto Island. He was very close, so of course he came as soon as possible. Sudan Shuriken, the Extreme Sword Hall Master who was fighting with Yuhan, was also surprised. In the information he learned, the Sudan Shuriken was the treasure of the Huangquan Dao Mansion. He appeared here? Sudan? Yuhan also saw Sudan. The Lord Demon has sent an order to kill Sudan Shuriken. Sudan Shuriken, this Purgatory Lord is quite strange, with a very strong demonic body and extraordinary power. You should be careful. The Extreme Sword Hall Master quickly sent a message. Oh, leave it to me. I'll block his tail. You just attack and kill it. Sudan opened his mouth, and his voice spread directly throughout the world. Immediately, Zenhei Shuriken, Xianxing Hall Master, and Extreme Sword Hall Master all looked at him. So confident? Wow. The beautiful starlight floated around Sudan. The star silk threads were extremely chaotic, forming a strange running trajectory, and quickly spread to the front of Extreme Sword Shuriken. The beautiful star silk threads and the chaotic messy green silk magic were used, and the world suddenly turned upside down, and the space was disordered. Yuhan swung his tail over. It went around a strange trajectory and went back. This move made the Extreme Sword Hall Master and the Xianxing Hall Master admire everyone. This starry thread is Sudong's famous skill, a perfect realm magic, which others cannot imitate, and they all know how powerful Yu Hong's tail is, and they can easily guide it to another place. Incredible. Sudong Shuriken is indeed worthy of his reputation. The master of Jijian Palace laughed. Then he used his swordsmanship with all his strength. Sudong also watched. This book was recently updated in #at. Update. The master of Jijian Palace, whose swordsmanship has reached the perfect realm, is also quite famous. I saw the master of Jijian Palace waving the magic sword, turning into a sword light, and stabbing directly at Yu Hong. When this sword came out, the whole world seemed to be filled with loud sword chants, and the sword light was fascinating, and the momentum was unparalleled. Yu Hong swung his ferocious tail wildly, and a piercing roar came out of his mouth. Want to stop it? Sudong sneered. The starry thread floated and enveloped Yu Hong, and Yu Hong's tail swung strangely to another place. Boom. The sword light surged, forming a sword column that reached the sky and slammed into Yu Hong's demonic body. Suddenly, a hole appeared on the latter's demonic body, and the demonic energy surged. What a powerful swordsmanship. Sudong secretly praised in his heart. The master of the Extreme Sword Hall has been famous for a long time. This perfect swordsmanship is indeed extraordinary. Ah, Sudong, the master of the Extreme Sword Hall, the two of you joined forces to attack me, shameless or not? Yu Hong roared while resisting. He was not afraid of one Extreme Sword Hall master. But with Sudong, especially Sudong's Star Silk Thread, he was completely suppressed and beaten. How could he not be angry? What a joke. A purgatory beast who can destroy all the creatures in the world at will is also worthy of being called shameless. The master of the Extreme Sword Hall looked cold. Die. Sudong also shouted angrily. The Star Silk Thread enveloped, and the master of the Extreme Sword Hall attacked. Yu Hong was anxious. He didn't want to die. Forget it. I won't eat anymore. I can't handle these two void creatures working together. He was anxious, just anxious that he couldn't continue to eat, but he didn't worry about his life at all. Yu Hong clenched his palm, and the dark golden gourd appeared in his palm. You too. You are so shameless. This true master will not accompany you. I'm leaving. Want to leave? Stay here. Sudong urged the chaos green silk divine power, and the Extreme Sword Hall master turned the sword light into a prison and bound it. Both of them were confident that it would be easy to kill this purgatory life with some time. You can't trap me. Yu Hong turned into a black line and quickly rushed out of the world of Kiao Island. But then the Star Silk Thread floated over. The sword light was a little slower, but it arrived in the blink of an eye. Go. Yu Hong's dark big hand waved violently, and the dark golden gourd suddenly swelled and instantly became the size of a house. Blood and gold entangled air currents floated out of the gourd mouth. The air currents were wrapped around the sword light and the Star Silk Thread. Not good. It's the trick. The faces of the Extreme Sword Hall master and Sudong changed at the same time. Alas, I'm not used to the environment at home, and it's hard to write. Just 2 updates. Chapter 775, Strange Gourd. On Kilu Island, Zenhei Shuriken and others were suspended in the void, watching the battle ahead from afar. Sudong Shuriken's Star Silk Thread divine art is indeed extraordinary. He easily suppressed the Yu Hong True Lord. It's amazing. Xianxing Palace Master exclaimed. Jijian Palace Master's swordsmanship is also powerful. The beast that attacked and killed was in a mess. Zenhei Shuriken also said. They flattered each other. In dealing with the purgatory life, the Void Divine Court and Huan Quandeo Fu are indeed very harmonious. Look, that beast escaped. Many Shurikens were watching the Void Palace Master. Seeing that Sudong and Jijian Palace Master were about to stop Yu Hong True Lord, they suddenly saw the latter wave his hand casually. A dark golden stream of light emerged, and the small gourd suddenly swelled out of thin air. In the void, the dark golden gourd spewed air, and the air wrapped around the Star Silk Thread and the magic sword released by Jijian Palace Master. The 2 air currents intertwined, and immediately entangled the Star Silk Thread and the magic sword. Sudong and the Extreme Sword Hall Master both looked grim. The many figures below were all stunned. They obviously didn't expect that the Yu Hong Master had such a method. Boom. Boom. Under the entanglement of the dark golden airflow, a strange power emerged layer by layer. It was weak at first, but as the airflow increased, the power became stronger. In just a moment, under the entanglement of the dark golden airflow, the trajectory of the star thread continued to slow down, and the sword light prison formed by the magic sword turned into a lonely magic sword, and all the sword lights were annihilated. Then the two airflows circled. The star thread turned into 8 stars, and the 8 stars shrank instantly. The magic sword also shrank instantly, shrinking to the size of a palm, just like 2 fallen leaves swaying in the wind. In the blink of an eye, it was swallowed by the dark golden gourd. Purgatory magical weapon. Sudong was shocked. He had seen the power of the purgatory magical lamp before, but it was also activated by the true Lord of Purgatory. However, it was weak at that time, so the purgatory magical lamp naturally made him feel afraid. If he faced it again at this moment, he would not be afraid of the purgatory magical lamp, but this dark golden gourd was even more extraordinary. It could actually forcibly take away the artifact. Not good. My magic sword. The master of the extreme sword hole changed his face drastically. He was good at swordsmanship, and all his magical powers were in swordsmanship. How could he not be shocked when his magic sword was taken away? That gourd is weird. He sent a voice message to Sudong. Sudong nodded slightly. Yu Hong, who was originally fleeing, suddenly gained momentum, and at the same time, his burly figure twisted, and he laughed wildly and wantonly. Haha, Jijian Palace Master, Sudong Shuriking. The legendary Sudong Shuriking. Is this all you have? It's ridiculous that you want to kill me. If you have any skills, just show them. If you don't, I'll leave. Jijian Palace Master, you are not good at attacking. I think you are just a vain reputation. Jijian Palace Master's face was ugly, and he was actually humiliated by a purgatory life. Cloud Dragon Sword. He roared, and a sword light suddenly burst out from his palm. As a strong man who can dominate a piece of the void, Jijian Palace Master naturally has many magic swords. Sudong watched as the sword light burst out. The clouds were thick, and the might of the sword surged, forming huge cloud dragons out of thin air. A total of 6 cloud dragons swirled up and burst out from the void. Each cloud dragon was extremely fast and powerful, attacking Yu Hong from 6 directions at the same time. Good swordsmanship. Sudong nodded slightly. His swordsmanship had reached perfection, and every aspect was perfect. The dark golden gourd was strange, but it could only affect one side. It could attack the latter in 6 directions. Yu Hong's heart also jumped. While urging the dark golden gourd, it waved its long tail. Suddenly, it looked to the side. I saw a blurry knife shadow slashing from the side at a very fast speed. The speed was so fast that Yu Hong couldn't help but tremble in his heart at the same time. What a fast speed. This speed is not much less than the swordsmanship of the Extreme Sword Hole Master. The Extreme Sword Hole Master's swordsmanship has reached perfection. Yu Hong turned his tail and pulled it towards the knife shadow. Boom. Sudong's eyes were cold, and he slashed with his sword. Bloody blade of the devil's hell. It was like a space explosion. The purgatory divine sword in Sudong's hand turned into a bloody sword shadow. The moment he swung it out, a storm of bloody sword light directly raged around, and endless sword light gathered at one point. Instantly slashed on Yu Hong's long tail. Although the Sudong is good at swordsmanship, his swordsmanship is not perfect yet. He is still a little short of the master of the Extreme Sword Hall, and the divine sword in his hand is also not good enough. It can't threaten me. Yu Hong was extremely confident, but a sword collided. Puff. This book was recently updated in #at. Update. A black tail with a diameter of 6 feet long was swung out horizontally. The purgatory demonic key emitting black light drifted away. What? Yu Hong was extremely shocked. How can this swordsmanship be so powerful? Isn't it said that Sudong's swordsmanship has not reached the perfect level? How can his swordsmanship be so powerful? His tail is the toughest part of the whole demon body, and it was cut off with one sword? Awesome. The Extreme Sword Hole Master was also shocked. The Sudong Shuriking is more terrifying than what I know. A person's reputation is like the shadow of a tree. Sudong's reputation is at its peak, and the Extreme Sword Hole Master has naturally heard of it and admires him. However, after all, Fast training speed does not mean that he is really strong. His swordsmanship has reached the perfect level. In terms of attack and killing, he should be better than Sudong, but he couldn't do anything with his sword to Yu Hongzhensu's tail. Sudong drew his sword and cut off the latter's tail with one sword. How powerful is this swordsmanship? Has his swordsmanship reached the perfect level? The extreme sword hole master couldn't help but guess. Oh my, suck the precious gourd for me. Yu Hongzhensu was anxious. Immediately, he activated the dark golden gourd, and the dark golden gourd swelled again. This time, 7 air currents gushed out directly from the mouth of the gourd, 6 of which entangled 6 cloud dragons, and 1 of which entangled the purgatory divine sword in Sudong's hand. Separate 6 air currents? The face of the extreme sword hole master changed slightly. He was a little afraid of this dark golden gourd. Here it comes. Sudong was quite concerned about the power of this gourd before. Whoosh! The dark golden air current entangled the purgatory divine sword in his hand. This air current was quite strange. It only swallowed the artifact in his hand, but the divine body could not feel the slightest swallowing. Under the dark golden air current, Sudong's palm was empty. The space seemed to be a group of bubbles, and it collapsed. The purgatory divine sword instantly shrank to the size of a palm, and was swallowed into the mouth of the gourd in the blink of an eye. Along with the purgatory divine sword, there was also a silver glowing divine sword, and a cloud dragon phantom was entangled on the divine sword. Haha, the gourd is well made, come again, come again. Yu Hongzhensu laughed wantonly. Sudong Shuriking, Jijan Palace Master, I will ravage you well. Jijan Palace Master looked serious. What a weird magic gourd. Yes, it is weird. I can swallow it with a long sword in my hand. Sudong nodded. Sudong Daojin, with this weird gourd, you and I are not the opponent of this beast. Can you summon the 10 palace shurikens to kill it? Jijan Palace Master said. In the Middle Ages, Sudong was nicknamed Demon King in the Void. Because Sudong was murderous and acted in a strong and domineering manner, but Demon King was biased, Jijan Palace Master naturally called him Daojun to show respect. Jijan Palace Master, don't worry, I have a way to deal with this gourd. Sudong smiled. Oh. Jijan Palace Master's eyes lit up immediately. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.